Welcome everybody to the giant Bombcast. It's February 15th. The Ides of February.
Yep.
That's the technical term for that.
I just got
Beware the Ides of February. That's always
February.
a thing people say.
Somewhere the middle ground between well, I guess I was not quite. I was going to say the middle ground between Horizon and Elden Ring, but that's just for us. Neither game is out right now. I'm Jeff Gerstmann, your host. I'm joined by Jeff Bakalar, Jason A. Stryker, Jess O'Brien, and Matt Rory is stepping up. Stepping up to the plate.
I got cool baby here. My
no lockout.
You got a pinch hitter here.
No lockout for Matt Rory.
I've been playing a bunch of games, so eager to talk about them.
That's right. Playing a whole bunch of games. Jan is somewhere in the cloud.
He's pulling levers and pushing
cloud levers and all this other, like making things happen. He was just too distraught by the Cody Rhodes news.
Seriously,
what happened?
I can't be Cody Rhodes. If you want to just take everything at face value,
sure.
Mm-hmm. Cody Rhodes and his wife Brandy, or I'm sorry, Cody and Brandy Rhodes, have left AEW, a company that they helped found.
Right?
Why? Is this a work?
I'm going to say yes.
Jeff is saying yes. I'm saying there were too many people that were thanked, that were nodded to in the going away letter.
There's a letter
that it might be real. There's a fucking JPEG, and it's I don't know.
I thought like the TV show showed a text on screen for 90 seconds.
See, that's the thing.
That would have been.
This
that
kind of
coincides
with the the season ender of their reality show, apparently. So
that's my thought on it. Is that this is them this is going to be because they started a reality show for Cody Rhodes and his wife Brandy, and they've got a kid now, and like at the end of that the last episode of the first season of that was him going like, I don't know if I'm going to wrestle anymore. Maybe I just leave for a while.
This is dangerous.
Like they've been weaving this like thing where he is not popular with the crowds per se, and
that's true.
And there's just a lot of shit there that's just like people are just kind of like done with Cody Rhodes, and they're trying to find a way to make it interesting. And he's been out there in recent months like, this is going to be a wild ride. We're going to try to do things that have never been done before. And this just fits right into that. Like now all the stories today are like, he's going to sign with WWE, which sure.
Fuck no, that's absolutely not going to happen. But Jesus Christ, I'm not that.
Like, are you going to work Vince McMahon, the ultimate carny? Maybe.
I feel like they're flirting with territory where they're doubling up on a entertainment thing. And when you double up on an entertainment thing, when you compound sports entertainment with reality show entertainment, you get a bad fucking joke. Yeah. I feel like that's maybe what they're flirting with here.
Well, like that's all reality television is wrestling. It always has been. It's always been fake. Yeah. So it's always been sports entertainment. The road rules. So real world road rules, jock jam, whatever.
When Nia Jax went on Renee Pacquiao's show and said she was going to drop a bombshell about Total Divas, she said it was scripted. 98% of it.
What? Oh my God! No, what? No, come on.
What?
I thought she was gonna like start to reveal the list of people that got fake vax cards that she threatened to reveal. Anyway, this whole thing just sounds like them trying to do like if you factor in the WWE end of things, does this end up being like a Brian Pillman-esque thing? Only
weird,
like way worse or way better? Who knows? I don't know. It's weird
whatever.
Territory for an on-screen character that probably needs to be in some weird territory right now, because I think the standard stuff that they had been doing is not working.
Not for him, yeah.
So, sure. Or maybe he just got sick of the crowd reaction and thought he would just go back. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. It seems like a bunch of bullshit to me.
It sounds 98% scripted.
Yeah.
To some. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what's been really going on.
That's the news of the day.
That's the news of the day. I thought, oh yeah, like we were just saying before the show how we get signed out of the work accounts like with such regularity, and I went to go look at some video games, and this just happened again to me. This is a disaster.
Are you talking about the site like Giant Bomb login?
No, I'm talking about the back end, like check your email and look at Google Docs stuff is just
constantly
like, you got fucking signed out in the middle of this show you're doing, dumbass. I'm like, good.
And it's constant two-factor stuff.
Let me two-factor, and they make us
that little button that says "Remember me." That's not true. It's not going to remember you.
It does not remember you.
Does not.
My phone broke not too terribly long ago, and I freaked the fuck out because I'm like, I can't work without a two-factor authorization. I need to get this fixed right away.
Yeah,
that's some bullshit.
It's okay. So while I'm back online, what else is going on? Football's over.
Yep.
Madden's coming to EA Play.
Okay.
I feel like that's going to be the trajectory from here on out. Is like the Super Bowl happened, and now anyone with Xbox Game Pass can just play Madden, I guess.
Scandalous.
Yeah. What'd you think of 50 Cent?
Hanging upside down.
His voice was kind of shot. Like it didn't.
Well,
sound
yeah.
like
I mean, you hang upside down in a little, fucking trailer thing for like 5 minutes, and your voice is shot.
So you think he was upside down like a bat waiting in the wings like this whole time?
Not the whole time. I said about 5 minutes or so, because you don't exactly know.
Upside down?
5 minutes upside down, at least for 50 Cent.
Well, all the 50 Cent blood rush into 50 Cent's head?
And that's why he sounded so different. Yeah, obviously.
That's a lot of blood.
5 minutes.
That is a lot of blood.
It's a good show.
Funny, and how weird of a scandal would it have been if the curtains open and 50 Cent is just passed out upside down, and then it's like the set's playing and he's just like unconscious upside down.
They accounted for that. They had Exhibit just waiting in the wings to run out and do a verse instead or something. They're all you always got to have backups on your backups. He's pretty much the one person I think in that performance that is not a regular performer anymore. He's like producing a lot of television and some other stuff like that, but he's not necessarily like putting out a lot of music. And so of the group, it makes sense that he would maybe be the rustiest, I guess.
Or just the most reluctant to come back. I don't know. Maybe he's been itching to come back.
You think they put him upside down for aesthetic reasons?
Well, yeah.
Maybe he's saggy. Is he saggy?
I didn't know this. Someone who I was watching the Super Bowl with informed me, because yes, on its face, upside down 50 Cent makes no sense. Why is this a thing? But isn't that in line with the video?
It's the thing from the video. It's the thing from the video. It's the in the club video when they're making
context.
When they're making Super Gangster and all this other, like when Dre and Eminem have their lab coats and they're pointing at things and he's just there doing weird workout stuff while hanging upside down.
There's my lab over there.
What if that's a convenient excuse? Just hang him upside down and say, "Oh, it's a reference." Like, no, it's to make sure all of his saggy skin goes the correct direction.
Yeah,
on stage.
Well,
I don't think he's that old, but I don't know. Whatever. I'm with you. Old jokes.
Yeah, that probably was part of it. Yeah. I don't know. I think that was more illustrative of the age difference between me and my wife, where she watched that and then said like, they should have just let 50 Cent do the whole thing.
Oh, weird. Oh no.
I don't know. I don't know. You might have to be born in a window of 2 months to say that. I don't understand that.
Well, when that first album came out, it was huge, and 21 Questions was a song for the ladies. That album had a little something for everyone, and I think if you were of the right drinking age when that album hit, it probably hit much harder.
The funniest thing is no one anywhere said that when planning the halftime show.
No, definitely not. I don't know. I didn't watch any of the football. I assume it went fine.
I watched.
It's a good game.
Yeah, it went fine. It's over.
It's been one of the best postseasons for football ever. Like every game is going down to the wire. This one was like within a minute. They still had a chance to win it. Honestly, like as reprehensible as the NFL is in many ways, they had the best postseason possibly of all time. One of the best games of all time with that Chiefs. Chiefs? Oh, who was that? Chiefs or Rams? I want to say, but man, just a heck of a postseason. But the Super Bowl is a little hard to follow up on some of the NFC championship games and divisional round. We can talk about football if you want to. I got plenty of things.
All I saw were people saying that like all the officials determined the game again. They blew a call early and then made up for it later and fucked it all up. And which I feel like people say about every kind of major football game. There's always some contingent of people that are just like, refs fucking putting their finger on the scale.
1,000% some.
Of course, the LA team's going to win because if Cincinnati wins, then it's a minor market and they need more money, and LA has to win. And
they didn't cover the spread, I think, in the end. The Rams, and now that
4 points, right?
legalized sportsbook is happening, like. You never know what these refs are actually doing on the side. It's a recipe for a huge scandal.
Easy,
coming
Rory.
up with all this sports betting.
Down, Rory.
I don't know. I was trying like hell to get my son into it. Not really trying because I don't want to force it upon him, right? But I want him to get like acclimated with the sports. It's very popular. It's easy to fit in with kids in school. You have something to talk about, I guess. But at the same time, I don't want to go too forceful, but. I'm like, hey, these LA guys, they're from California. That's where you were born. And he's like, yeah. Well, so he was happy about the Rams winning. He was,
Everyone knows if you put a baby that just learned how to crawl on the floor and you pepper all the sports around the baby, organically the baby crawls to hockey just because it sees value and excitement.
Because they're on ice already and they just kind of slide that way.
As you know. So
I do think that the puck is a very appealing shape and form, and there's a heft to it that like when you pick up a hockey puck for the first time, which I did,
man.
Yeah. When I received one in the mail for a video game. I believe it was Mario Lemieux Hockey for the Genesis.
Oh, okay.
If not that, it was like Wayne Gretzky for the N64, and they sent a hockey puck along with it. And I was like, this is a weight to it that I did not anticipate.
This could hurt
someone with it.
It's the size of a chaw can, but way heavier.
Way heavier than a chaw can.
But you can still kind of do that finger crack thing that the people that chew tobacco do.
I've never choned.
You never choned tobaccos?
You do the finger thing.
Yeah. We found when I was in elementary school, we found a sealed can of fucking Copenhagen or something out in the field.
Oh man!
And
you just
picked it up and just went like, just chew it up and swallow it and then immediately throw up.
You swallowed it?
Oh no, it's
you're not supposed to do that. Fucking like 10. How the fuck am I supposed to know how to chew tobacco?
I was smoking at 12. I knew what the fuck to do.
You were smoking at 12? Whoa!
I was, and I hated it. But sometimes I had money and my friends didn't, and they were like, come on, let's buy a fucking pack of cigarettes. And I'm like, okay, fine, but as long as we can poke holes in it. And we poke holes in the goddamn cigarette, so I couldn't fucking taste anything. That was the only way that I don't know, but I fit in.
You poked holes in the cigarette?
Poked holes in the cigarettes.
For what purpose?
So I wouldn't get the fucking smoke in me.
That is not, that's no way that works.
The exact opposite way that it's supposed to work, but I didn't want it to work. But I wanted to fit in with my friends.
You should have got some candy cigarettes.
Yeah.
No, you can't smoke those. You can't poke holes.
I always thought the candy cigarettes were super disgusting.
They were not very good. No,
they taste terrible. They're awful.
They were just for the look.
Yeah, even the concept of
they spent all the money on the packaging is really what they did.
Yeah,
pretty much,
and not on the candy development.
Yeah, no, some of the worst candy I'm going to say that has ever been conceived is candy cigarettes. When they banned it, I wasn't like, oh, the nanny state. I was like, oh god, fuck no.
Well, unfortunately, we lost Big League Chew alongside.
Did we really?
No,
Big League Chew's still out there.
It's still there.
Is it still? Because
I don't. But they must have changed the name though, or something. Because I remember they made a lot of trouble because it looks like chewing tobacco powder.
They just stopped selling the tobacco flavored version of it.
There was tobacco flavored.
There was not a tobacco. God damn it!
Wait, Rory looked like you believe me. He was like, okay, that checks out.
I was rolling rolling my eyes very heavily.
Well, I think they don't. I mean, they don't sell chewing tobacco in pouches anymore, do they?
I don't know what they do.
I think so. I
They
don't know if
sell
it's chewing tobacco.
to
I
make
think you
your
just put a
cigarette
jewel pod in your
pouches,
mouth
sure.
and just go like, delicious mango.
So I play every now and then. This guy I play hockey with, he's not my team, but he shows up in like open skates and whatnot, and he'll put like they're like little tea bags.
Yes, I've seen
They're
these
like
recently.
Yeah.
They look like a silica gel pack. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like
they're,
that thing.
what's it called? They're zips or
They're like little
They have a
nicotine
name for 'em.
thingies.
I think they're yeah, whatever. And then he like puts it on his in his gums, and he's just
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna play hockey with this thing in my mouth. I'm just like,
Somebody will know
Where
that.
does he just spit the fucking
Yeah, you spit it out.
so
negatives?
so I don't know
gross
what he
stuff.
does. Like if he spit it, it would be all over the place. So I
Yeah.
don't know what this
I
guy's
think
doing.
it's something you
Swallow
suck
it,
on
doesn't he?
until it's gone or something like that.
No.
Yeah, my dad when he was chewing tobacco for a while there was chewing skull bandits, which are like these little little
Yeah.
pouches, little pocket things that
Yeah.
you would just stuff in there, and at the end you have one of those that's just been like sucked gross,
Oh
and
jeez.
then
Where do
you
you
take
put
it
it?
out and throw it at somebody. Or,
Oh,
something
what a
fucked up
disrespect!
like that.
What a
Well,
disrespect!
Well, what are you gonna do? Not me. Didn't throw it at me often.
You could
Very
never hit
often.
me.
Never.
Too
Oh,
fast
no.
for that old man.
We are signed out of this.
No, we're fine. That's lag behind. We're okay.
Sorry.
Let's talk about some video games.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Ooh.
Please.
I assume the music cue hit.
There's no way to know.
There's no way to know. Let's see. Horizon Forbidden West is the biggest thing going. That's out this week.
Let's do it.
I've played a pretty decent sized chunk of it. Bacalar, you've played a pretty decent sized chunk of it. We did run a video yesterday, kind of talking about it, but we recorded that like what was it, Thursday?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like I've played quite a bit more of that game since then. And I think I came out of the early parts of that game thinking like, oh, it's really cool that it doesn't feel like it's just stuff rubber stamped all over the place and all these side quests have meaning and stuff like that. And then I kind of got into the next act, into the rest of the open world, and was like, oh, they've rubber stamped all the stuff, the everything. they've filled this environment full of question marks and all the same stuff over and over again, and along with the side quests and main quests and stuff. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's just a lot in that game.
Yeah, there is. And it's not that it's necessarily bad. I think all of it is relatively well done. I just think that I am not having an amazing time with it. And I'm finding a lot of the combat stuff to be like, I think towards the end of that first game, especially once you get into a good groove with like, this is how I handle these weird enemy machines. Like I am good with the spear and the bow and this, and or, like whatever weapons you choose. Here you just start with that knowledge, assuming you played the first game. And so it's just very easy to fall into that same groove of just running over these machines and shooting the parts off them and doing all the things you need to do and all that. Maybe you use traps. I'm not a trap person, but
I'm a
some
trapper,
people
yeah.
were. Okay.
I'm an electricity trapper.
Yeah, but like you kind of figure out what works for you and you just kind of stick to that. And I've found that has made the combat extremely repetitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that sort of little secret showed itself the first game as well.
Yeah.
In our video we were talking about how like I was saying I am just mainlining all the main quests like that.
I think that's smart, man, because I'm doing all the side stuff and I'm just like
I'm enjoying doing that. I'm enjoying just riding my mount, whatever the horse thing. I forget the name of the machine it is, but like
Charger. You can
I
mount
am
a bunch of stuff,
loving
but yeah.
passing every icon in the dust. The only one I like doing, I don't recall this in the first one, but they are doing a cool amount of environmental puzzle solving sort of stuff with these relics that you'll come across, where it's like an old building and there's some sort of ornament that's hidden away in a room somewhere, and you have to jump and pull crates and it's almost a Tomb Raider-y sort of like style accessing a hidden area, which I think they're spread out enough where it's like, all right, I just enjoy that as just a mindless kind of thing, and I just want to do that. But I think, why am I doing just the main quest? I'm doing it because there is just so much that I am not attracted to in this game in terms of the side stuff. There's so much I don't want anything to do with, and that's fine. Like, you can play a game how you want to play a game. If you want to, there is enough fruit to harvest. There's enough stuff to get. You will not get, like, there's plenty to do in every area that you find. For me, mainlining that main story gives you the kind of diverse set of objectives and sort of encounters that kind of give me what I need out of it. And what I need out of it is like very light on the storytelling, because I think the mystique and the intrigue and all that really exciting stuff sort of finished up and tied it all up at the end of the first one. There is some interesting stuff that's starting to develop in this second one, but is not matching, in my opinion, the compelling nature of the first narrative. And I'm at a point now where I'm like, you know what? I've seen enough. Things are just exciting enough that I'm going to mainline this all the way through and just tick off all the main quest boxes and call it a day.
Yeah, that's I think where I am at now too, where I got to like I guess I'd call it like a reasonably big reveal about like, here's the nature of these people you saw. And you're like, okay, all right, that's exactly what I thought was going on, because they foreshadowed this here and here and here. And okay, I am interested in finishing up that stuff. So like all the side stuff is, I think people who care about the lore of the current civilization, the tribal cultures, all of that sort of stuff, like if you care about that and helping out those people, all the side quests are that. And as someone who never really cared about that part of the story, like for me in the first game, it was the digging through the ruins, figuring out like why is this society the way it is? What happened here? What the hell is going on? Who am I? What is the nature of Aloy? Like all that stuff I thought was like really well done in the first game. Maybe a little like lore dumpy there at the end, but generally I was really satisfied with where that game ended up.
You ever play the DLC?
No.
Okay. I mean, I think I'm the biggest Horizon apologist at this site. It's one of my favorite games of all fucking time. I can't wait to play this. I mean, it's more the same as what I keep on hearing. Like from what I see of the gameplay, I haven't watched it too much. Like the gameplay looks pretty similar to almost exactly the same, but it's a huge bummer that I can't find a PS5, because I went and looked at the PS4 renderings or the recordings they did. They put them out on Twitter the other day. It looked fine.
They look okay.
But I really want to play that game and like top-notch resolution and everything like that.
Sure.
So I'll probably wait for PS5.
Sense.
But
yeah,
I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn, dude, that game. I think I replayed it on the PC version. I know the PC port of this is not coming out for like 2 years, but very little of what you're saying is turning me off from one of the
totally. Like if you hear more of the same and that gets you excited, then by all means, I'm not saying you're not allowed to play. Like I think people, it's funny. Like some of the reactions to the way some people have talked about this game, it's been interesting because there's some people like, oh, it must be nice to just sit around and play video games all day for your job and get burned out on open world games. But like the open world burnout kind of concept came from the audience as more and more Assassin's Creeds came out and people were like, I'm fucking done with these. Whereas I was always like, yeah, I'm up for another open world game, and then kind of wax and wane as time goes on. I don't think this is necessarily like an open world burnout sort of thing for me, because I've been looking for a great open world game, and I'm the guy who fucking liked the first 5 hours of Far Cry 6 because I was that hard up for a decent open world game, and then I was like, oh, this fucking is not it.
I mean, I finished Far Cry 6 when I definitely should not have, because that game does not change at all after those first few hours. It's basically you shooting people in the head for 30 hours. So I mean, we'll talk about some other games, open world games later, but definitely I'm all into getting one game that I can spend 50 hours on if it has entertaining combat in an open world, like some other games that we like I said, we might talk about a little bit later. But
I'll be curious.
I really want to get my hands on this thing, and but I don't want to play that game of like subscribing to 90,000 person discords trying to get into the Best Buy premium select club to pre-order a PS5. So I might just play it on PS4. I don't know. I really want to play it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be curious to hear what you think about the story in this one, Rory, just because it's, it goes in a bit of a different direction, and they really lay it on thick up front. I'm curious.
John Gonzalez, I think I worked with him on Fallout New Vegas, and he went on to do Horizon Zero Dawn. He was the chief narrative lead designer. I'm curious if he's still doing it, but
I don't know off the top of my head, but
I'm curious.
Yeah, it's I think it's just especially the opening, especially if you're doing all the side stuff. There's a real like it's a real heavy focus on the politics of the Sun King versus the people in the Forbidden West and all this other stuff. That's just like not why I'm there, and also it's like Aloy the character. I feel like as she has kind of come into understanding why she's there and all this other stuff, has just become so fucking over it. As people are talking to her about her problem, about all these fucking small time problems, and she's like, "I just need the fucking thing," and you're like, and then someone's like, "Well, you'll do 3 quests for me first," and she's just like this constant eye rolling, like fucking, this is beneath, like. You can practically hear her be like, "These fucking idiots! I can't believe I have to fucking."
She had a bit of that in the first game too.
Yeah,
I mean, the first game also had a really long intro as well.
Yeah, yeah, it did.
The thing about Aloy, she's the only one that knows she's in a video game. Everyone else is just like, "Well, we're wearing this shit. This is real." She's like, "Look, no, you guys, no."
She's like she is like the fucking annoying atheist at the fucking party that can't wait to tell you that she is a fucking atheist and is just like, "No, you know that's fucking real. It's not a goddess. You know that, right? Fuck." And fine, but also like it's just. Yeah, she seems like she doesn't want to be there, and at some point that starts to reflect on me like, yeah, I don't know that I want to be here either, but it's well made for what it is and all that stuff. I don't know, it's fine. I'm not knocking it too hard, but it's just it doesn't it just seems like it's just 30 hours of her muttering to herself about fucking, I gotta move this crate over here. Yeah. Like hint type stuff, or like, all right, I'll go do your thing. And it's. I
will say that just to get the spoilers out of there, I've been playing a bunch of Dying Light 2 and Cyberpunk last month, and I will say that for some reason these current few open world games, for some reason, like, tell me to go kill a rat and I'll go kill it. But Dying Light 2 especially has this thing where I have to do this like parkour jumping mission, and it's like 30 lines of dialogue to get through before. And I click through them immediately. I don't listen to any of it, but like some of these games definitely have. I don't want to impugn writers or designers or people, but maybe tamp down on the beautiful language a little bit and let me get right back into the gameplay. If it is a side quest of killing 3 chickens, I think Dying Light 2 is really bad about this, especially like some of these side quests are just like, you're sitting there, if you listen to all the dialogue, it'd be like a minute and a half of like, I need to find this thing in this house, go get it. So maybe I think some of these new open world games are definitely a little overinflated in that area. So
overly verbose.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, you're right. Dying Light 2 is super, super guilty of that. But yeah, for as much as I feel like this Horizon gets started really slowly, there's like enough of a narrative hook there that I think like Bacalar, I think I am going to mainline it through the rest of it. The nice thing though is like you do all those side quests, you get a shitload of skill points.
Good.
Yeah.
So, it feels like every time I open up the menu, I'm like, oh, I have 8 of these things from between leveling up and murdering dudes and then, helping a miner out of a cave or whatever, that I've just got like so many different points to spend. But I don't know that like they added some different combat abilities. And Rory, you'd remember this. Did the first game have weapon stamina and specific moves you could do? Because like there's like stuff in there here where when you unlock it, you can... Like, let's say you can notch 3 arrows onto a bow, but it uses chunk of meter. Okay.
I don't remember the meter stuff.
Okay.
But
well, here it's governed by a weapon stamina meter.
Yeah. And if you hold it back, you could only hold the arrow back taut for so long, I think was a thing in the first one, I believe. It's been a while.
This is more for like separate moves. There's like a separate button that if you've unlocked it with every single weapon, there's kind of like an alt fire kind of concept. For like the hunter bow, it'll be like an upward shot, but it's governed by this stamina meter.
One of the things that I remember from the first game is definitely being able to over level stuff. Like if you did do the side quests and spend a lot of time in the world, you would get way above level for most of the enemies. Yes. And when you have all these tricks and traps and everything like that, and it doesn't really matter because you can walk up and blast stuff in the face, it kind of does make the combat a little less intriguing. Because when I played it on a PC, I just went through everything side quest again, and by the end of the game, you're just kind of you have that invincible armor, and you're just firing off like fire arrows every time. So that's kind of what I like in doing in open world games. I like what I'm doing in Dying Light 2 right now. I'm running around, getting above level, and going out and murdering everything. So
yeah, I think that's fine too. This game definitely does do some of that. I think there's just some inventory stuff, and so I wish that they handled some weapon stuff a little differently. I think I'm at a point now where I have like 7 different bows. Oh yeah, and one of them is just like this is a hunter bow, which means it's kind of the middle of the road bow. It's not a close range warrior bow. It's not a long range, whatever the fuck those are called, but it's the fire version of it. And so if you want to shoot fire arrows, you have to put that one on your weapon wheel. And so it's like there's just a lot of dumb weapon wheel management.
How easy is it for you to switch between those? Like if
you don't have fire arrows anymore, you just have a fire bow.
So you have a fire bow that will shoot fire arrows. And it might also shoot a different type of arrow. So like I think that my fire bow will shoot fire and acid arrows, and my warrior bow will shoot like normal and acid arrows. And so it's all the same kind of elemental stuff of the first game. But it just it feels like those should just be arrows, or those should just be upgrades for the base bow, or like, hey, when you get the rare version of this bow, now it can shoot these types of arrows, because like it's just like that stuff feels clunky in a way that is weird, or could have been handled better, I guess. And so like if you want to do all of the elemental stuff, it felt like it was a whole lot of management involved in there, and that stuff was super frustrating, or whatever. Not super frustrating. It's like more menu fuckery than you want to deal with in that game. But
that was for me. That was one of the glaring sort of speed bumps for me. Just like there's something about that weapon wheel, and there's something about I think what they do with the D-pad still kind of works and makes sense in a way that feels good. There's something about this game's weapon wheel that I remember feeling the same way about the first time around. That just doesn't kind of like mesh with something. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's just a little bit of handcuffing that happens. I think
they give you so many weapons, and more weapons than it can fit on the weapon wheel, and they don't have a good way to be like, here's page 2 of the weapon wheel. Here's so it becomes you going in and having to unequip a weapon to equip a different one, and all of that sort of stuff. And I think that's part of it. But also, like, when you get a bow that can shoot multiple types of arrows, it just becomes a smaller portion of the weapon wheel. So like the radius you have to hit to select that, and combat doesn't, like, the time does not completely stop when you burn that weapon wheel. It just slows down. And so it's a little finicky in a way that it probably shouldn't be. It's minor shit, but it's still just like something that happened a few times where I'm like, oh, why am I not shooting the right arrows? Oh, because I fucking went too far on the thing when I was like frantically trying to change. And
it shouldn't matter, but that stuff adds up.
No, it all just sort of leads into the quality of life stuff. I think the game really kind of punishes you, maybe in a not deliberate way, when you are trying. Like if you're out of stealth and you've been discovered or something like that, and you are desperately trying to not, the scanning of new machines mixed with like going through all the little pips of like, oh, what do I want to shoot off this dumb thing's back, like, and then what's it vulnerable to, and what is a weapon if it falls off, like the sort of like balancing all of those things can get really, really frustrating. And I think there's also an element of this game that, like, I think there's a lot of, I find a lot of frustration controlling Aloy with platforming stuff.
She's very, she's very animation heavy. She'll take one step too many because it looks better, like there's a little bit of that when you're like trying to do some of the fine jumping. I find that like if you're doing like a running jump,
it's easy to mess that up.
Yeah, it's a little funky, but generally, like, she'll automatically like course correct if you're jumping at something that she's supposed to grab onto.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot of climbing
just,
stuff, right? Like there's a lot of like legends and all that shit.
Whole bunch of just like, and that's some of my least favorite thing over the last like 10 years of games is the Uncharted, just like these totally stakes-free climbing of just fucking point in the direction and watch the animation, like
direction, and just mash the jump. Yeah. Oh, I'm with you. Yeah.
They, and they try and roll out this sort of system where she will automatically, like, you just hit forward and she should kind of automatically grab all the yellow and do what she needs to do. But I find sometimes you can kind of find it unreliable because you'll be in a spot and like, the stakes aren't super high. You fall and then you gotta like do the whole damn thing over again. But there's times where like I'll be like, okay, I'm pushing forward, she's reaching out, but she's not making the jump. Where other times she'll just do the jump, and I swear, like, I feel sometimes like I'm crazy, like I'm doing what you're telling me to do, and now you're not letting me jump, and there's just a bit of this unevenness that is not what I'm looking for, to kind of complete the whole package. So, again, kind of low on the list of complaints, but definitely there enough to be annoying.
There's a bunch of small stuff in this game that is a little off-putting, I think, like that I didn't necessarily feel in the first game because I think it was the first game, and all of it felt new. But I think if you're looking for something and going like, how did they refine this, in which ways did they make this better, like they made another one of those. And like there's some cool stuff in there, but it doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it still feels like that there's more that could have been done to make this just a better, smoother experience. But,
how's the swimming in it? Like that was a big addition.
Yeah,
like,
that was one of my biggest worries about this
fine.
game. Any kind of swimming stuff, I'm always a little skeptical about.
Like I didn't like that in the
sometimes
latest
the
Tomb
camera,
Raider.
sometimes the camera will get a little funky depending on where you are, and you're like, you're swimming underneath something and there's no way to go up and your meter is draining and you're like, I think I can go up here, but you can't necessarily tell because the camera doesn't necessarily show that there's just an inch of air above the water and the top of the tunnel that you're in until you get close to it. It's fine. I don't know. It's a video game. It does video game things.
Do those turn into like stealth sequences where you're trying to avoid enemies underwater?
There's one sequence I've played so far where you are trying to get away from enemies that if you pop your head up or get too close to the surface, they will see you and shoot you.
Okay.
But the tooltip there is like and it's a bad tooltip because it says if you're 4 meters below the water, you won't be seen. And I'm like, you're going to draw the 4 meter mark on screen? Like, what the fuck am I,
tape measure and you're like, huh.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just, I like Rory, if you're the person and you sound like you are, who you're just like, I just need this itch scratched real nice again. Real nice. You're getting it scratched.
I am. It's my most anticipated game, and I might just get it on PS4. Maybe I can get
Well, it's a free upgrade, so you could you would then own it's the last first party game that will be playable on both for free.
Less money if you.
As much as I like these games, I'm definitely not going to want to play it again on PS5. If I beat it on PS4, maybe I would. I replayed it on PC, but that was a good 2-year gap between those two versions. That was kind of perfect for me. So.
It's one of those things where it's super cool, but like it's kind of inherently less impressive just by virtue of it being a sequel. And I wish that they had done more with it. You get a glider, you can glide.
Okay. Just like
stuff like that.
That Zelda thing.
Yeah, that's all right. It does video game stuff.
Yep.
Let's see. Jason, you played some King of Fighters.
Yeah, I've been playing as much as I can. They didn't send us copies, so I picked up the deluxe version, which gets you like a 3-day head start on the PlayStation 4 and 5 version of that game. Aside from the the beta that I played, I don't know exactly what's different. But at the same time, you're dealing with the entire character roster now, which is like 38 fucking people, which is a little overwhelming at first. There's more than a handful of people that are brand new to the fucking series, and So that's exciting as well. So you've got, you know, your regular trials to play through, which are, oh my God, you played King of Fighters 14. If you played that and you tried to do some of the fucking trials in that game, these are fucking kindergarten steps in regard to those old games, for sure. Not that I can do them that well, but in comparison's sake, they're much easier. Where this game differs from other King of Fighters is that it introduces some like Street Fighter EX kind of like, you know, you're canceling from a special move into a super move into like a fucking climax move. So you're just kind of mashing on the fucking D-pad, going, you know, forward and then double quarter circle forward and then like quarter circle back, half circle forward into punch, and just going nuts with that. That's where I'm having less fun because just physical disability. Like I'm having trouble doing like quarter circle motions nowadays, and that's why I really like, you know, games that are simplifying controls just for accessibility's sake. But
is it full on SNK style crazy?
No, so
because they went down to double quarters, right? And some of that other stuff.
Yeah,
so it's more like a Capcom-ish sort of.
Yeah, and
input,
like everybody has a universal, like, you know, their climax move is the quarter circle back, half circle forward, both heavies, and that seems to be the same for everyone. As well as the like, I don't think Geese is in it. No, Geese is not in it. Anyway, there's no fucking pretzel motion.
Yeah,
shit that's going on with it. So it has been universalized to an extent. I went through the like trial motions for like Terry Bogard and stuff, and this is where it kind of shows you where the game opens up, in that you're going from, all right, a standing heavy punch, which hits twice. You're holding forward and light punch, which does like a back fist. Then you go into a normal special move, cancel that into like another special move, and then doing like a climax at the end. It's fun as fuck when it works. Like when you can actually get it to go off. There's lots of routes for you to go, and it's not just that like, you know, super to special to climax kind of thing. You can juggle with like normal attacks and go into other stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity for freeform kind of combos. It's fucking fun. It's cool. There's a lot of cool shit going on with it. So they've got rollback netcode, which has been working well. Yeah.
And they've announced the first couple of like teams that they're adding for DLC.
Yes. Yep. I forgot the names of them offhand, but they're kind of beloved, you know, like nostalgic characters.
So I guess my question is, like, it doesn't feel like it's missing key players. Like, it's nice that it's got new people.
I think they are bringing Geese. I'm not.
Yeah, I think I want to say he's. I want to say he's on there, but regardless, this is it's the best looking 3D King of Fighters, which is saying something, because they started off really bad. And it ended up going back and saying, we're going to make these a little bit better for you guys. But only a little bit.
But only a little bit. But yeah, since then, it's a complete and total upgrade. The backgrounds look great. The music is all over the place, to be honest. Like some of the new stuff is really, really good. But they're pulling music from so many different like iterations of the King of Fighters universe. And you've got to beat it with like you've got to beat like arcade mode with like a specific set of characters to unlock this stuff. Anyway, so they've got stuff from like, you know, King of Fighters 95 all the way to just like Neo Geo classics. It's all over, cool. But not a ton of new stuff. But the new stuff that I have heard is pretty good.
Yeah, that's nice. I'm looking forward to trying it out. I feel like all these 3D King of Fighters I've looked at and tried to play and just like never really gotten into them, to the point where I'm like, do I like King of Fighters? I love King of Fighters 98.
I love King of Fighters, even past 98.
And I like 2000.
Yeah.
So is this one just called King of Fighters? Like no number, no
15.
No subtitle?
15.
Okay.
Yeah. XV.
Yeah, they ditched the years and started going with numbers.
Yeah, may as well at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just because of the free form kind of combat, there's if you see something that should juggle, it probably does, and that seems really, really fun.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's like an optimal combo or anything like that, I don't know, and I don't care. I'm having fun with it. So
yeah, that's cool. I can't wait to mess around with it.
Cool.
It's out for reals on Friday, right? Is that the
Thursday
like
or
it's
Friday?
still in. It's weird if you paid them extra money, they'll allow you to play it early.
Just on the PlayStation, not on PC or Xbox. It's out on the Xbox. That's fucking weird too.
Yeah. I'll probably check it out on PC. Where I've played a little bit of Lost Ark.
Yeah,
me too.
What's going on with this?
Yeah, what's the deal,
Jeff? How much talking do you want in an action RPG?
Not that much.
Holy it's. I don't mean to take I have my immediate impression of the game was like, this should be a Diablo. Like, I shouldn't be going into cutscenes every 30 seconds. It's mostly
not like the cutscenes look good. Either.
The game looks spectacular, though. It really does look great. I think it looks great. I mean, it is that Korean art style, high gloss, high sheen. I think that part's really fun.
But it's like old though. Like it's been out for quite a while.
2019, right? I think, is when it came. It's not that old.
It looks fantastic to me.
But yeah, Smilegate, I think, put it out in like China in like around 2019, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's an action RPG MMO with, it seems like, more MMO than action RPG. Like, as much as the camera angle and stuff like that looks like a Diablo, like I think once you get into it, it kind of
a lot of gold spam in that chat.
Yeah, and a lot of gold spam in that chat. I don't know that I like the philosophy of how this game controls and how they want you to play characters and stuff. Like, they give you like 6 skills, like out of 8,
6 right off the bat.
They give you 6 right off the bat.
Yeah, it's a neat way of going about it. Like, it's very much kind of a fuck you to Path of Exile or any of those other games that really do take a while to ramp up. They're just like, here's 6, and I played a paladin. They all look
I also
really
played
cool.
Paladin.
I like the tank kind of stuff, and they all look really cool. They animate really well, but they do jump in there really quick with like a bunch of different kind of options for controlling your character. It's mostly like left to move, right to move on your mouse, and then WASD are all abilities. So it is kind of a big. It drops you into the combat early on, and then it gets you into this tutorial area where you're doing nothing but dumb quests to like figure out the MMO parts of it. Yeah. And I found that first half hour to be very tedious.
Yeah, like it's tantalizing because it'll start showing, I think maybe halfway through that opening bit, it'll just say skip prologue up in the corner, even though it's your first. And I looked at it and went like, I should probably skip this because this is terrible.
I did that too. Unfortunately, a lot of the dialogue bits before that point you can't skip because it says this is your first clear. So you're just sitting there listening to fantasy dialogue that you do not care about.
It's the worst.
It's pretty bad. It's overwrought and overwritten, and the voice acting is pretty bad for the most part.
And they make you pick your advanced class in the first 10 minutes, which is like, and they let you test them all out, but there's still this element of just like, I don't even know if I like any of these. And I guess I'm just going to choose Paladin because the attacks were faster than the other 2 subclasses. It's like,
rank them
you pick an advanced class at the start of the game. Like, why is it even called an advanced class? Like, what the fuck?
It's not even like an abilities. Like they let you practice some moves and they give you the coolest armor you've ever seen in your life, and then they put you in like robes with a stick, like every other MMO that you've ever played or action RPG.
Unless you bought the supporter pack, in which case you can then put on armor that looks like way more severe.
It's worth noting this game is free to play. That's the big thing they launched.
4 or 5 currencies, and
like I've played hundreds of hours of Path of Exile. I've never spent $1 on it. I think maybe I spent for like a little stash upgrade or something like that. But
nuts.
It's good to have another free to play game of this style. I mean, I don't know if it immediately. Last I checked, it was still over 1 million concurrent players on Steam, which is insane. So very popular so far.
Like, feel that was really suspect because if you look at the Steam achievements,
I did look.
There's one for like choose your advanced class, which again is like the first 10 minutes of the game, and over the weekend that was like 40%.
Yeah, it's still like, okay, when I checked yesterday.
Wait a minute. Yeah, it's way higher. It was in the 80s last time I looked.
Okay.
Also, like it started off like a few days ago, being like overwhelmingly positive, and now it's gone to mixed. It's dropped that fast. I think in the past like few days.
I would not put it past Amazon to juice early numbers, but the achievements seem to at least check out in a way that they did not a couple days ago. So I'm not making any accusations, but also that game doesn't seem, and the reason I won't is because also I feel like I logged onto Steam over the weekend and like 9 people on my friends list were all playing it and have played it for dozens of hours.
Weird.
And I was looking at it going like, okay, well, there must be something here.
Right.
But
it's neat. It seems like every kind of top-down action RPG that I've ever played. I haven't gotten super far into it. The talking stuff is a real bummer. Like if I pick up a quest in Diablo, I want to hit a button and have somebody yap at me about rats in a basement and go here and kill it, not to have this back and forth. There's like a skill. Isn't there like a dialogue selection thing too? You can make choices, or am I misremembering that from something else?
I don't remember.
I might be thinking of Dying Light 2 because I've been playing a lot of that too, but it looks graphically super impressive to me, but I haven't played enough to have like a really good idea of the gameplay at least. But it seems pretty fun and it is free. So, but yeah, the first thing I took away from that thing was that this is way too much talking for a game where I'm going to be going out and killing things.
Yeah. I still have installed, like there's a part of me that's just like, just because it's had all these big concurrent numbers on Steam and stuff, there's a part of me that's just like, well, I want to see what the hell these people are doing for all these hours. But the times I've launched it, I've not, it has not grabbed me.
I have not had any problems getting, I picked a non-busy server on like yesterday morning. I think I started playing it, and all the server stuff had mostly died down by then. I'm not on a very high pop server, but I'll definitely, I think I've threatened to do a community co-op corner with it at some point. So come back next Monday maybe, and I'll scale up a little bit if you want to play. We'll maybe do something like that at some point, because it is free to play and easy to get into, and I've had a really good time. The problem with these kind of games when you're doing co-op, level 99 with the sword of the sun god Ra, and comes in, and it's the same thing with Warframe or Path of Exile. It's always somebody coming in and like blasting through everything before you can do anything. So
I mean, sometimes you just want to be carried through some content.
Sure.
Yeah, man.
Get twinked.
It seems fun. I recommend people check it out. I really think it's really pretty. I don't know if that'll make up for the kind of writing and voice acting stuff that I'm not a huge fan of, but it does seem to be. It seems competent at worst. Competent. I hope. I'll get more into the combat and try it out more. But I like me some action RPGs, and this does seem to be kind of the flashiest one I've seen in a while. If I was Path of Exile people, I'd probably be a little bit worried about this coming in and being so huge right off the bat.
Yeah, I imagine that they've probably been thinking about this for a while, because it has been like there's been buzz around this game prior to its release because of how well it was doing in Asia. So
they had to have seen it coming, right?
Yeah, to a certain extent. Apex Legends started its new season. Bacalar, have you messed with any of this stuff? I know you've become an Apex man as of late.
Look at that guy. Apex man
is how I refer to myself now. No, yeah, I've been playing a little bit of it a couple times a week. Like I said last time I brought it up, I was definitely sort of a lot of familiar stuff where I was like, okay, I could slide back into this. I see what I did there. And it felt familiar. The new season stuff, I haven't really gotten my hands on that much for like any tangible differences and stuff. I know there's like a new mode and everything.
Yeah, I played some of that. Control.
Yeah, what's that like?
It's cool. It's 9v9 domination.
Right.
It's control points. They take a subsection of the map and just cordon it off into like 3 control points, and then you respawn and you play it. You play it.
It's a game.
Yeah. And so you are still divvied up into a 3-person squad, and you still have to pick a unique character in that squad. And you still see like the people that you were in your squad with, you see them highlighted a little differently than the rest of your teammates. So there's that. So your pings only go to those other players, I assume. But you stand on a point and control it. If you control all 3 points for a length of time, it eventually like goes into like a lockout where if you can control them for a set amount of time, it'll just end. Which I thought was okay. But yeah, it's taking all that great movement and weapons and all that other stuff. It goes to loadouts instead of you picking up weapons in the field. Like you just kind of pick like what weapons you want to have as part of your loadout, and more stuff will drop onto the field over the course of the match, so you can kind of get better stuff if you're looking. But I think it's a lot of fun as someone who, doesn't really have a crew of people to play proper Apex with on a regular basis. Like, this is a lot more just jump in with whoever and just do it. And it feels way lower stakes to me than, a battle royale would. And it's nice. I think you should check it out. It's a cool mode.
Right on.
Yeah.
What are they doing anything with like the in-game perk stuff with that mode, or is that just the battle royale stuff?
So do you mean with the
So there's like
your character abilities and stuff?
Yeah, and there's like kiosks where you can upgrade. There's like currency in those things.
Right. No, so there's a different meter. I don't remember what it's called, but there is a different meter that governs use of your ult.
Okay.
And it seems like you'll earn towards that over the course of a match. So they've reworked some things like that, but no, I don't believe you're like necessarily. It's not like there's a buy phase. It doesn't seem like you're necessarily like upgrading stuff per se. You're kind of just choosing your loadout and going in.
And how do they drop you in?
You just spawn. You don't drop. Yeah, I know.
Don't drop.
You just spawn.
You don't fall from the
heavens? So you can choose where to spawn because you can, if you control a point, you can spawn close to that point.
Okay.
And that'll be a more forward spawn to try to move into their territory and stuff. So yeah, I know. All the cosmetics you bought for sick animations you do while dropping are now totally useless.
Wow. Completely useless. Is there in terms of like where they section off the map, is that random or they do like deliberate sectioning off, or can you tell?
It seems very deliberate. It seems like they said like, oh, here's a good spot to do this in, and built it up that way. So I also had some trouble on the PC version where it kept kicking me out of the match. Where like and I could hit A and then immediately hit rejoin and it would throw me back in, but it just kept erroring out. Maybe they've smoothed it out by now. I haven't checked for a few days. But that was annoying on the personal computer.
Sure.
Well, okay, we were going to talk about Dying Light 2, but Matt already ran away. So I'll talk about the few matches of Rumbleverse I played. They pushed this game back, and they ran a network test over the weekend. This is the Iron Galaxy melee-focused wrestling-themed battle
did they
royale
give a
game.
date as to when it's going to be coming out next?
No, when they pushed it, they were just like, it's not out this month like it was originally going to be. And so they just kind of gave a non-specific, it ain't out. And so they ran this test for like 2 hours on Saturday, which was not a very long time.
Weird, yeah.
But I jumped in for a couple of matches and won one of them. So knowing how to play that game will give you an advantage over people who are just joining a network test and haven't played hours of it. And so that was fun. Yeah, I don't know. That game is still neat. They made some minor changes to this version. Like, this was a newer build for sure, because there was some different cosmetic stuff going on in world. Like I think like billboards show the player in the lead or whatever it is.
Oh, neat.
But
that's always in its touch. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still that game. I still want to play more of it because it's been super fun. Dying Light 2, Matt Rory's back.
Hey, sorry about that. Multiple. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm up to like 20 hours of Dying Light 2. I played a little co-op last night on a stream with a community member. Trying to sync up Epic and Steam in that game for the purposes of co-op is not great, and I wouldn't say the
sign up for your Techland account or whatever to make it all happen. Or
no, you got to link up. Yeah, you got to link up Epic if you're playing on Steam, and then you have to use a Steam Epic overlay to get the two thing. And it is functional, I'd say. The way characters move in that game is still pretty wonky, like a lot of jittery movement for the enemies and everything like that. But I'm having a great time with it. I'm like 20 hours in. I'm still kind of, like I said, running around in the opening areas. I've over leveled. What I figured out, if you started that game and kind of fell off it, once you get to level 2, or honestly more like level 3, you start to level 3 gear, and then you can run around the level 2 areas, and it becomes very easy. Like, I'm doing the night houses in the middle of the day and just running in and killing everything and looting them all. So yeah, I think it's really, really good so far. I think they have probably walked back a lot of the stuff they promised in those past E3s in terms of the faction stuff. It all seems pretty simplistic.
That was my question, because that's the stuff I kind of got up to the verge of doing some of that, of assigning some structures, and you start to see the water towers and you can assign it to different factions, and that's kind of where I just fell off it. How does that stuff seem a little thin?
It's hard to say because I'm 20 hours in. I'm not that far as I can tell.
I played like 13 or something, and it still felt like nothing had happened really. So
it's kind of interesting, and I don't know for sure, but there was Chris Avellone was one of the lead presenters, writers, and he is not in the credits at all. And he was always big on reactive kind of choices in games. So I'm kind of curious if they scrubbed some of that stuff out after he left the project. But
left is a charitable way to put it. I suppose.
So I'm really curious about that. I want to play more, like I said, but I the thing is, you can pick the peacekeepers or the survivors, and once you make the first choice, I'm not really sure what point there is in like trying to make it even between the two. So there's a little meter if you stuff to one faction to the other, you get more and more abilities from the faction, the more facilities you assign to it. So I'm not sure why you would ever want to like split up between the two. I pick peacekeepers because I'm a Law and Order guy.
Because you're a fascist, I get it.
Yeah. They do a decent job of like making them both seem shades of gray kind of stuff. So
they get there. It's like when you first meet the peacekeepers, it's real like, oh fuck you guys, and then there's that moment a little bit later on where he's like, hey, I'm warning you about this thing, and you're like, oh, maybe the cops are nice.
Yeah, they do that well enough to the point where I didn't really care which one I picked in the end, and I just kind of went with one to kind of go with one and move the story along. The moment of gameplay, I finally got the drop kicking people off from buildings is spectacularly fun. I've been having a really good time, just like I said, after I leveled up a little bit, running around just popping people in the head. You find a lot of weapons in that game, so like weapon breaking is not that big of a deal. I will say that
I never once like went to go equip a specific weapon. It was just like I kept picking them up, and when they broke, they broke, and I was like, fuck it.
I modify.
Keep killing.
All right.
What the fuck is going on up there? Jesus.
Tippy tappies.
Sorry. Dog noises from the rest of the house. The one thing I will say is that the writing does not seem to be super fantastic. There's a lot of it. Dialogue is fine, but I skip pretty much every line of dialogue that I see because, again, it shouldn't have to be a very complicated. It's great if they want to make it some kind of moral story, but I find I want to run around and kill things more than I want to listen to people talk about water.
So you say like you're 15 to 30 hours in between both of you, and nothing much has happened? How is that even possible to play a game for that long?
It's a 500-hour game.
I don't get it. Like, I mean, excuse me for being too negative, but it's just like, man, that is like to be like, I've been playing this for 15 hours and not much has happened. It's like, what the fuck's happening then?
I've killed a lot of zombies, I'll tell you that much.
It's
the whole
so
thing,
boring.
the story's about you trying to find your sister, and there's some flashbacks to them. They're all bad. There's that evil doctor.
And the writing's bad. So it's like you got 15 to 30 hours and nothing's happened, and the writing's bad. What is there to do anymore?
Writing's bad. It's functional. It tells you what you need to do.
Buildings for 15 hours has got to be boring, even if it's all kicking guys off buildings.
It worked for Dark Messiah, Might and Magic.
There was some fucking drop
I do enjoy the moment-to-moment gameplay quite a bit. Every time I stop playing, I kind of want to play more. The parkour is fun. The beating up's fun. I've got some good abilities right now, and like I said, you finally got a lot. Set on fire and hit zombies with them, so they set on fire too. It's just fun to run around even at night. I was really worried about the timer stuff at night. I haven't had too many problems with it so far. You find a lot of immunity boosts and everything like that. So the gameplay loop is UV shrooms and everything like that. I'm having a great time with it, despite the fact that the story seems not innovative in a major way. It's functional. It's fine.
Something to be said about a gameplay loop that just kind of resonates with you.
Run around, hit people.
I get that. I've definitely.
But I just think it's weird that I've seen comments that's like, oh, they're only 15 hours in. That's not enough to judge the game. It's like, that's 15 hours.
No,
it's like a lot of
I got it.
If I was writing a scored review, I would agree. But as someone who would have to go spend a bunch of my personal time on it, no, I'm gonna go do something else.
I just think it's really weird. I don't know.
It's video games, though. I mean,
it's video games
that's
now,
I mean, it's crazy. Because I think one of my big problems with Dying Light 2 is like the the tech tree, the number of moves you start out with, and the number of things you have to do to flesh it out to where it feels like a good modern game. You know, with some of the parkour stuff, the slide, the wall run, some of the melee stuff, the drop kick, the other stuff. Like I think if you gave people that all in the first minute, it would be overwhelming. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like enough out of the gate to where I feel like it just makes that slow start feel even slower.
Yeah.
And that made it hard for me. Even, you know, when I got to that 13-hour mark and felt like I had most of what I want to go do stuff with, I think that was also the point where I hit like, I don't want to go do stuff anymore because the rest of the story fatigue and everything else set into a point where I was just like, yeah, it's still that just block, attack, perfect block, stagger, like all that same melee stuff that a lot of these other games do.
Once you get past the perfect blocking seems important in the early game, but after a certain point, you really don't need to worry about it anymore. Like I'm going to go the way of stuff and have an easier time fighting. I will say it's really weird the way the level range is like 1 through 6. That's all it is. I'm like 20 hours in. I'm like level 3. And it feels like there should be more granularity there in terms of like finding more weapons and things like that. But you know, that's an odd choice. And I forgot what else I was going to say, but yeah, I lost it. But I really do enjoy the combat in these games. I played fuck all of Dying Light 1 and the expansion pack. So this is pretty similar to that. It's a little more rough hewn. I got to say though, it's so brown is my biggest kind of complaint about it. It's an extremely brown game. I've been fooling around with RTX. I think it looks better without RTX on for some reason. Like it just makes the game blurry and weird looking. I see people keep on saying like it's one of the best looking games of all time, and I'm like, here's Cyberpunk. Go try that.
Because you're so stretched out. All the colors are stretched out on your screen.
Yeah, that's true too.
Big, wide brown monitor. Yeah.
So not the.
I think that you know, when you think about Dying Light 2 and why it starts the way it, or why it runs the way it runs, I think probably the numbers for Dying Light 1 strongly justify. It's why they said all that 500-hour stuff. It's why that game starts the way it does. Is because they have data to back up like, yo, people played the hell out of this game and they wrung every little bit out of it. And we did all this free DLC and they played all that. So like they're making this game for those people, and those people I think will eat it up. But I think in terms of finding a wider audience and all that other stuff, like I don't think that they have. I don't think like they have done very well at that.
300,000 players. I mean, it's still a ton.
Yeah, but like I said, that first game grew in popularity too. So it just feels like they're speaking to that base and not necessarily trying to make some big mainstream. Or if they tried to make some big mainstream thing, I think that they fucked up in a handful of ways. But
sign me up. I mean, like I said, I played a little co-op last night. We did eventually get it working with one of the community members. Thank you, Watershed, for joining my stream. Co-op is really weird because it sounds like I joined his game at one point and he was in a part of the map no access to at all. And it seemed like I don't know how the level scaling work. I kind of quit immediately because I didn't want to be spoiled on anything. But I did unlock the ability to get like the paraglider and the UV flashlight, which I should not have had access to at all.
Oh, weird.
So now they are in my single player game, the UV flashlight, which I should not have access to. So there's still a lot of wonkiness around the co-op. I know there's still no console crossplay and they're still patching everything up, but it's fully functional now on PC. I think it's I think it's great. I think I'm gonna have a really good time playing it for a long time, hopefully. But definitely, if we want to wait a few patches, probably it'll be even better in 6 months or so.
And skip all the story from the sounds of things.
Yeah. I don't mean to say it's bad or poorly written. I think there's just too much writing. Like, not every dialogue needs to be. Some of these dialogues are like, 50 back and forths about pretty simple stuff. And yeah, the water's not on. Good. I don't need to have a novel written about every single problem in this world. And I think they overdid that. But I will say that skip dialogue button works really well. Like, it's extremely good. It kind of skips between, I guess, whatever the keyframes in the animation would be. So it'll just cut you right to the next part of dialogue, even if somebody has like entered the room and done something. So you'll be like skipping through so quick. It's a little blurry or a little hard to follow, but it does work extremely well if you want to just skip dialogue. So
gotcha.
Yeah. Thumbs up. I recommend it because it is way too much of it.
How is Rosario Dawson? Is she all right?
I just found, so I believe, I don't want to spoil too much, but I just ran into her for the second time. She seems fine.
Okay.
She's very awesome.
Okay, I'll take that as.
I mean, she's been in a bunch of
amazing,
games.
so.
I think it's kind of like her main
Not
gig
enough,
now,
as far as I'm concerned. So, I don't know if I've ever mentioned, but Lisa was childhood friends with her, and that's partially why I married Lisa's for the chance to meet Rosario Dawson at some point. Hopefully.
And how's that? That's not worked out yet?
Not worked out yet.
Well,
so I'm still working up to like getting Lisa to just like reach out to her, you know, send a fucking email or something, maybe a tweet, you know, and then just, you know, CC me on it, and then I'll take over from there.
You'll close the deal.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
As it were. Fantastic. Well, that's video games. Why don't we take a break? We'll come back. We'll talk about some news. How's that sound?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Sounds good.
VPNs, you know what I mean? Protecting yourself. Getting your business out of the big data business. How about that? You know, it's like leaving a bathroom door open. You don't want people looking in on you, right? You know, while you're in there doing your business. So why let people look in on your internet business, right? Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like going to the bathroom and not closing the door. Is basically what we're getting at. Did you know that your ISP knows every single website that you visit? And what's worse, they can sell this information to ad companies and tech giants who will use your data to target you. That's just one reason why you might want to check out a VPN. ExpressVPN puts a stop to this. It creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet so that your online activity can't be seen by anyone. You want to look like you're coming from some other part of the internet. You're just coming out of some black box somewhere. And they're like, I don't know. There's a lot of people coming out of here. Who could it be? We don't know. It's all encrypted and secure and secure. And it works on everything. Phones, laptops. You can even install it on some routers so anyone that shares your Wi-Fi can still be protected even if they don't have ExpressVPN. And the best part is using ExpressVPN is as easy as closing the bathroom door. You just fire up the app, click one button, and you're protected. ExpressVPN is the world's #1 rated VPN by Mashable, The Verge, and countless others. So if you believe your online activity is your business, secure yourself by visiting expressvpn.com/bomb today. Use the exclusive link expressvpn.com/bomb. That's expressvpn.com/bomb, and you can get an extra 3 months for free. That's expressvpn.com/bomb. Are you looking to sell things online? You probably are. Everyone is. Check out Shopify. Shopify gives entrepreneurs the resources once reserved for big business. So upstarts, startups, and established businesses alike can sell everywhere, synchronize online and in-person sales, and effortlessly stay informed. Scaling your business is a journey of endless possibility. Wow. And Shopify powers millions of businesses from first sale to full scale. You can reach customers online and across social networks with an ever-growing suite of channel integrations and apps that includes Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and more. And again, you can synchronize your online and in-person sales. What does that mean? Let's say you're selling stuff out of the trunk of your car, like Freddie B and Too Short back in the day, selling rap tapes, but you're also selling your rap tapes online. You don't want to sell 1 billion rap tapes online when you only have 40 tapes in your trunk. So synchronizing those sales and making sure that you don't oversell, undersell, all that other stuff, keep it all in sync. Shopify can make all that happen for you. You can gain insights as you grow with detailed reporting of conversion rates, profit margins, and beyond. More than a store, Shopify grows with you. This is Possibility, powered by Shopify. Go to shopify.com/bomb, all lowercase, for a free 14-day trial and gain full access to Shopify's entire suite of features. Grow your business with Shopify today. Go to shopify.com/bomb right now. That's shopify.com/bomb. And we're back. That must mean it's time for the news. And what a week it was. Nintendo Direct happened last week. This is probably I've seen other folks saying this, and I think I agree without going back and looking at all of them to check. This might be the best one of those that they have done.
It was pretty good.
I mean, look, and I'll
Harvey.
do this for whoever wants it the next time.
Okay.
But the ability to will something into existence is really satisfying. So turns out, so if anyone is looking for something for the next one, you know, I did Switch Sports.
Thank you. Thank you.
If someone wants something
Appreciate
for
it.
next time, I'll see what I can do. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. But
Could you get some hockey in there, maybe?
New Ice Climber or something nice.
yeah, Jason, you bring up a good point. It's like, if you really had this power backler, why didn't you just fucking will
Well,
Mario
because you don't want
Hockey
to
into
fucking.
existence?
I know. I get it. You're a man of the
be
people,
selfish.
not just you. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the right PR statement. It was a selfless act. Therefore, Switch Sports for all. We'll get to hockey. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's the NHL's slogan.
Eventually,
National Hockey League. We'll get
get
there.
Yeah, we'll get.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Let's see. They, you know, it seemed like it was just there was a little something for everyone. I think not everything was a banger. I have no interest in a Fire Emblem Warriors 3. I'm just going down a list of what was announced seemingly in the order as it was announced, which is what Eurogamer has put together in their comprehensive article. Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, which is a Dynasty Warriors Fire Emblem game. They're making another one of those. That's out in June. They showed Advance Wars 1 and 2. Again, they gave that a new date after it got pushed back. That's April 8th. I don't like the art in that, but those games are good, so whatever. No Man's Sky is coming to Switch. This was verified as not being a cloud game, as we
Really?
kind of
Okay, so
jokingly,
the
half
plan is in
jokingly.
Holy shit! I'd be
Yeah.
impressed. Okay.
They have found a way to make that happen. Mario Strikers Battle League, which is a soccer game, which is a lot like hockey if you think about it.
Because it's foreign.
Hot
you know.
hockey. Yeah.
Field
it's
hockey.
Warm hockey. Grass
Warm
hockey.
hockey.
Yeah.
What if your foot was the stick? They asked, and this is the answer. It's Mario Strikers Battle League.
Yeah, I mean, they are cousins. They are sport cousins. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about it. You know.
I really like the art style in that.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
They look like Rocket League characters.
I think it looks
Yeah.
weird.
Man, I don't know, dude.
But then, yeah, the trailer, you watch it for a while, you're like, oh, are they going to make this, like, is this going to take any cues from Rocket League? And then they get to gameplay, and you're like, okay, this looks like the follow-up to Mario Strikers. Like, and
That's weird.
The cutscene camera made it look like it was going to be more like
yeah, for sure. Looks cool. Splatoon 3, they showed a little bit of the co-op mode there, the Salmon Run stuff, which looked good. It's out in the summer. They confirmed this had been, what was it? They redid some trademarks. I forget what the situation was, but people had been talking about Front Mission for a little bit, and they are going to remake Front Mission 1 this summer and 2 later.
I have not played the first one. I'm excited for this.
Yeah. I was never a big Front Mission guy, but I do love the design of the Wanzers.
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 Say it with me now.
That game really, really came into its own at Front Mission 3. It's really good. Please go check it out. It's on the PlayStation 1. Or you can just wait for the fucking remakes and then play that. Whatever you want to do.
I mean,
You have options now.
Yeah, if 1 and 2 do well, maybe they'll make a brand new one, or maybe they're already planning it. Who can say? I feel like that's always the backdoor plan with all of these remakes is like, if these really blow up, then we can always just make another one.
Let's gauge some interest.
Sure. Did not announce a new Mario Kart, but they did announce Disney Speedstorm, which is a free-to-play Mario Kart looking game with Disney characters driving cars.
Wow, I completely missed that.
Yeah, right.
Just holy shit.
Like, okay.
The
Yeah,
only-
there was
the
a
only
lot in
thing
there.
that-
They're very
They
fast.
packed a lot in there. So there's a bunch of shit. And do you remember that they announced that they were going to put Star Wars The Force Unleashed on the Switch?
Yes. And I remember
Yes.
it looking not so good.
That's
rough.
because
No.
it's the Wii version being
It's
ported to the
weird.
Switch.
It's
You can do that?
weird.
You could do that?
You could apparently do that. I don't know why you would, when instead you could just work off of like the Xbox 360 version, which, is not going to, is maybe a little better for the Switch in some ways.
But they have a weird like dual mode now. You can play 2-player with that fucking game. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be Star Killer fighting Obi-Wan. No,
I don't want to play the Wii port. Period.
Okay.
So,
like
this, all this made me want to do is like I'm coming closer week by week to digging an Xbox 360 out, and because I still have
just going back
like 600 Xbox 360 games here, and probably have most of this stuff that they're re-releasing now.
Yeah.
And just playing that stuff. Let's see, the SD Gundam game, which I'm all for. Super deformed Gundams. In theory, if not in practice. So
I don't know how many of those they've made. Thousands.
Oh yeah, I feel like yes, the 80s. You know, if you were importing games, you accidentally ended up owning 2 or 3 of these.
Gundams, right?
Yeah, like Game Boy. You're like, oh shit, I can't read any of this. Chrono Cross is getting a remake in April, and it is coming. It is going to come with an English version of Radical Dreamers, which was a text only. It's a sequel. I'm sorry, it's a sequel to prequel. It's like totally escaping that. Anyway, Radical Dreamers is kind of another part of the Chrono Cross story, and they are bringing that over as part of this pack, which is pretty rad.
Yeah, I suppose. Is the intro music just as good as the Chrono Cross music?
Or is it a sequel to? No, probably not. Is Radical Dreamers came out after? So it's probably a prequel to Chrono Cross because that was Radical Dreamers came out after Chrono Trigger.
Jeff, I don't know.
Anyway, okay. All right. Kirby can eat cars.
Yep.
Yes.
And cones.
Yeah. A very erotic point in the presentation, I felt. This Kirby game, I think, looks fucking so awesome.
Yeah, it looks great.
It looks so good.
I love how Kirby like sees a car and he's like,
put that in my
could
mouth.
just get into it.
Yeah.
I'm small as fuck. Like I could just squeeze, or
you could get into me.
Do I attempt to like anaconda that shit and just wrap his gums, which I don't even believe he has teeth, wrap his flappy pink gums around the entirety of that Buick looking thing?
Yes.
And just be like, well, I'm a car now.
Kirby would need phone books to sit on if he tried to get in the car. He's not tall enough to drive.
You're right. He probably thought it through there.
That dude can flap, though.
He would have to eat a race car driver.
Exactly.
First. Yeah, just to get in there.
Yeah.
This has the same kind of appeal as like Mario Odyssey, where you're throwing your hat on fucking T-Rexes.
It's very
and
like
shit.
akin to that.
It is worth pointing that out, right? Like, did you make that game again? Like, so look, I get it.
Like, if you did with Kirby,
please.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm not mad.
Kirby into a big piece of meat. Let's go.
I'm not gonna like discount this game and overlook it, but
yeah,
did you do the thing again?
Maybe.
Go ahead, man.
The answer to that could be even yes, we did on purpose.
I'm not done with that.
Yes, we did, but with more vor.
There you go.
Great.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm not done with that.
Yeah. So No Man's Sky is not a cloud game, but the Kingdom Hearts games are. They're bringing all three is probably not the right way to address Kingdom Hearts. The 3 real Kingdom Hearts games that are not on weird phones.
Oh boy.
Weird phones. You know, like the PSP. Those are coming out, but those are going to be cloud games. I have not had a great experience with any of the cloud games on Switch. Like that stuff seems like fucking janky. So having it is like, well, we can get games that theoretically wouldn't run on a Switch on the Switch by doing it via the cloud. It just seems like a.
So what other cloud games are there on the Switch? I don't actually know
they
that.
Did.
There's a small handful, right?
Phantasy Star Online 2. Control.
Oh,
is
Control.
One of, yes, Control is a cloud game.
There he is.
Our Control was on the Switch.
Yeah, it's the only way they could get it on there, right? So,
yeah,
that's the bigger news
yeah.
there. Yeah,
it's just that stuff's just weird. I don't know. That I do not feel comfortable. That's one of those reasons why I think Stadia doesn't make sense, is because the idea of buying a game that only lives somewhere else with no client side anything. Whatever. I don't know. We can talk about the nature of modern video games all day long. Klonoa 1 and 2. Speaking of modern video games, the most modern of video games. These trademarks have leaked out a little bit too. these are out in July as Klonoa Fantasy Reverie series.
Reverie is such a good word. I love that.
And Klonoa is such a such a good
those
word.
Together.
Yeah, Klonoa is a great character. This is another one of those that I hope leads to another Klonoa game.
Let's go.
I hope that this comes out and they're like, everyone loves Klonoa again. We would be idiots to not make a new one.
Right? Look at the floppy ass ears.
We would be absolute jackoffs to not make a proper Klonoa sequel. That's how I hope this goes, and I hope that that's a bullet point in a deck somewhere in 6 months when they're like, we would be actual jackoffs if we didn't do it.
It's right here.
It's right here in the deck. Portal 1 and 2 are coming to the Switch this year.
Just in time, right?
Just in time to go head to head with everyone's Steam Deck.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we figured out how to make this run on portables, and why not do it on the other portable, I guess.
I think I'm a little worried about how that's going to play handheld, just because of how not great those sticks are for first-person stuff.
Yeah.
But well, they did do console versions, and it was you could play it with a controller, but it wasn't
a bigger throw. Like,
well, I mean, the specifics of the Switch controllers,
right?
Yes, are definitely going to cast a shadow of some sort. But they do that with all games, so
sure. And I'm sure it's fine on the Pro controller and whatever. Yeah,
there's nothing fine about the Pro controller. It's just
I
bad in a different way.
I enjoy it.
It's
sorry.
Yeah. I wish.
What are you using for sit down Switch games?
An 8BitDo controller.
I played Metroid on the OLED, so I wanted to play it undocked, and so I just used the attached Joy-Cons and was not a huge fan. But I do have I have an 8BitDo SNES controller with analog sticks that I use for.
I had 2 of those right over there.
A lot of other stuff that work okay there. Live Alive is coming to the United States.
Weird.
In one of those HD 2D kind of remake things. This is a Super Famicom game that came out in the 90s.
I had not heard of it since then, since it had originally been announced.
You just see it scrolling through a list of files in a directory and go, what is that? I don't know. We'll never know.
I've only heard of it in name only, and the fact that it is somehow related to inspiring Undertale.
Okay.
That's all I know about Live Alive.
That's all I
This is the first time I've heard its name said out loud, so I thought it was Live Alive this whole
I thought it was Live Alive until the direct happened. And so we're all learning here.
Also, Earthbound is a inspo for Undertale. Let's talk about Undertale.
Of course.
Earthbound stuff for people.
Yeah. Nintendo Switch Sports was also announced. That's April 29th. That's pretty soon. They are going to run a beta for that, this weekend. Friday. Friday, you're going to be able to play some Nintendo Switch Sports. This is a sequel to Wii Sports. They're making a new Wii Sports.
And how?
And they changed the name to Nintendo Switch Sports, yet they did not change the name of Advance Wars. To Nintendo Switch Wars. Maybe because it's a remake and not a full sequel. Still, so when they brought that to GameCube, that became like what, Battalion Wars, right? Is that what they? Yeah. So,
but that was a different game, though. Like it was.
It was. Yeah.
It's a much different game.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the Switch Sports. It's like I got all the way up to like unearthing the Wii U and maybe finding that game again, and like I was slow motion just about to do a thing where this was now done, and then you hear on the direct it's like don't introducing Switch Sports, and I was like, yoink,
we've got something new you can buy instead.
So sign me the hell up. And you know what, I'll say this, after having played probably too much Wii Sports Tennis over Thanksgiving, I want more. And I want that to be a better, more finessed, precise thing. And I'm going to have a little bit of wishful thinking here and predict maybe that game gets a little better in terms of the controls. And look, that game's 16 years old. So like,
something insane like that. God.
There's a lot to make up in those years, so I'm cautiously optimistic about where this is going to go.
Yeah, they showed a little bit of volleyball, which looked fine. It's got badminton, bowling, soccer, like fencing, and tennis.
They're going to bring golf later on.
Right. Yes, golf. And okay, no, soccer's already in it. Yes, golf. Why not? Yeah, I wonder. I feel like I haven't not done any motion stuff with a Joy-Con since 1-2 Switch. That classic.
Same.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I do every now and then when my son forces me to do like some Mario Party shit. I do that, but
Okay.
this will be a substantial awakening of motion control in the family room for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have enough Joy-Cons though?
Yeah, I feel like I still have some in boxes that I've never.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I wonder if it's going to work with left Joy-Cons or just right Joy-Cons, because the right Joy-Con's the one that has the sensor on it, right?
Yeah. I want to say you'll need basically like a pair per person.
Right. That's probably how it'll go.
Huh.
Oh yeah, I wonder if it'll be because like if you think about a Wii remote and nunchuck situation, you would have your motion one and your walk-in one.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's yeah, we'll see how that controls. That'll be. I'm very curious about that because they have not done a ton of motion stuff there, and what they have done is kind of like.
The thing I thought of was like that Wii controller was long as hell, right? And like you felt that, you gripped that thing, you got your paw wrapped around that thing, and you were like, "This is heavy, this is a hefty boy."
You grip the shaft, and you're like, "This is serious business." I'm in over my head here.
Ribbed at the bottom, and here I am looking at a Nintendo Switch Joy-Con, and you're like, "Well, this is just an oversized Tic Tac in my hand."
Yeah, this is a flimsy piece of junk. What are we doing?
You think they will sell peripheral attachments like they did for Wii Sports with the little tennis racket and all that stuff?
Well, they're not above it, I'll tell you that. So maybe, I don't know.
That was all I'm pretty sure that was all third-party shit, and they're not above anything.
Was that all third party?
I don't believe Nintendo made, because Nintendo did the Mario Kart wheel.
Yeah,
Link's crossbow training.
And they did the crossbow thing. That was them. But I think all of the like fake sports stuff that just bolted onto it, I'm pretty sure those were all just fucking psychopaths.
You might be right.
Yeah, that
Nycopaths.
You're telling me the Wii spatula was not a first-party accessory?
They're out in Kyoto perfecting a plastic spatula, going, "That's not right. Turn over the tea table. This spatula's a piece of shit. You're all fucking fired." Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings, which I forgot had become the domestic name of the first Mother on Famicom, are I guess are now available on the Switch Online service. Still no sign of Mother 3. The one of the creators of Mother 3 was out there saying, "I think they should translate it." Like, yeah, well, really. And guess what? People already did. You could have played Mother 3 years ago. Just stop. They would have done it by now if they were going to do it.
It's the white whale. They can't let
like
it go.
There's like some story stuff in there that you could very easily envision Nintendo of America balking at and potentially changing in a way that is going to satisfy fucking no one. So
what kind of dark shit goes down in Mother 2?
There's like an implied suicide and some other stuff. There's stuff in that game that is like not that big a deal to you and me, but if you were Nintendo of America localizing a game, you might go like, "Yeah, I don't know." And so I think that they probably made that choice a while ago. We'll see. Hey, this Mario Kart 8 stuff is crazy.
They're still going. Holy shit.
Still going. Like Mario Kart 8 sold a fucking billion copies. Like it's millions and millions and millions of copies.
Every
of
copy
Mario.
is sold.
Yes. Everyone has one now. I believe I have 2 copies of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So that's just how it goes. So they announced another 2 years of content for that game in the form of a season pass. They're calling the Booster Course Pass, and that will be 6 drops of tracks, 48 new courses in all, ending in 2023.
Shit.
It's
a lot of commitment, and also a lot of non-commitment to a new Mario Kart.
Yeah, I think that's the
takeaway here.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, because there had started to be rumors about like Mario Kart 9's coming, and it's a little different than what you're used to, which seemed a little soon to bring out a sequel to that game, considering how well the stuff is selling. I don't know. Nintendo's timeline just feels all weird now with all of the year that we spent talking about a 4K Switch and then the realities of component shortages and all this other stuff. And it's just, I don't know, everything seems up in the air. Zippo is like, what is going on?
He's lying to us.
All these Nintendo leakers. There's an interesting story. I saw it on Ars Technica, but I believe it was sourced from somewhere else. That it was basically like someone decided they were going to become a fake Nintendo leaker.
Oh man, that's fucking yeah.
And they created a private. Yeah, they created a private Twitter account a couple of days before the Direct, and while it was private, just tweeted out every single prediction that you could come up with. So they had all the timestamps of being before the Direct. Then the Direct happens, you delete all the runs that were wrong, unprivate the account, and
that's how you do it.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the playbook.
Yeah.
How to build a bomb. There it is.
There it is. And they closed with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which is out in September. I
forgot all about that too.
Some folks are extremely excited about this. I'm just not. It's not.
Was that the game that was like only ran at like 320p if you weren't docked or something like that?
I believe that was a prequel to this one, but yeah, there was some. Yeah, one of those Xenoblade games which was ran fairly rough.
God.
So there's just, I mean, there was a little bit more in there that we didn't cover, but like that, I just wanted to cover all this stuff because there was a fuck ton in there.
It was good. Yeah, it was a good spread.
And they're making a sequel to Wii Sports, which I think is crazy. I guess I just never expected them to do it because they're not in the motion control business the same way they were. And I wonder if it will have normal controls for people that have a Switch Lite.
No, they specifically said
they did say,
wow.
Like,
nope.
They've sold a lot of those. That seems fucking fucked.
No, I mean, I guess they would have to do that, right? Or, I mean, I don't, but I guess going back to your original statement, like, I don't think this is necessarily a surprise. I think, and I also think there's probably maybe a way that I know you can't dock a light. I know you can't like get that, but you see someone's going to do something with like, I mean, there are people play that as a screen. Like, I know it sounds insane, but I don't know. I just feel like, I guess ultimately the answer is you just shoehorn in some regular analog controls of that thing and call it a day just to keep everyone happy. But I don't find them going back to this formula a surprise, really.
Yeah, I guess I think about it more in terms of like with the Wii, it was guaranteed that everyone had that style of control, hardware, and now that they've sold the Switch Lite, like it feels like that ship had sailed. But also that just felt like a different Nintendo to me. Like they're not.
Yeah, I mean, look, and this is the company that finds a way to get you to buy the same thing over and over again. So I mean, there's that too.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm really into the idea of them making another one of those. That's pretty awesome. That Kirby game looked great. Strikers looks cool. I don't know. I'm a little on the fence about it, but
Kirby's like a month away.
Yeah, Kirby's out really soon.
Away.
So that's
so
and then there's a bunch of stuff that people obviously were just like, are we gonna see this Metroid Prime remake and is Breath of the Wild 2 showing up? Like they always say ahead of time, like, hey, we're really focusing on games that are out mostly in the first half of this year with a few things. But like this presentation, I don't feel like I need any of that other stuff. I mean, granted, I don't like Metroid Prime, so there's that. But like when I look at like the rest of their slate outside of Bayonetta 3, there's kind of nothing else on there that I am missing right now. When I look at what they just announced, I'm like, okay, cool. No, this is a good chunk of content for the Switch that will keep me playing a handful of Switch games over the course of the year, as I have been, every year. Like I'm never going to be a big third party. Like I'm not playing much on the Switch, but like that stuff that they put out is usually worth playing. And anyway,
I'm curious what somebody wants out of a Breath of the Wild 2, like an expansion.
Yeah.
Right. Because that game is so big and so expansive to begin with. Do you want new mechanics? Do you want new dungeons? Do you want
I feel like there are people that are looking to. I think that's like. I feel like there are a lot of people looking to it as like some kind of big way to bridge the gap of the Breath of the Wild story to the other Zelda games, and trying to like, oh, this is gonna be the game that does that, and I
wonder. Yeah,
we will see. But like, I just you know, those mechanics are good and the shrines are good. So I what I almost want is like, make a puzzle game, take the overworld out and just give me like the shrine puzzle game one after another. And I would check that out for sure.
Yeah. That's not going to, come up to expectations though. Right.
Oh, no. I mean, you would have to announce it that way. You wouldn't say this is Breath of the Wild 2 and then put out that. I mean, this is going to have an open
But that's
world
what they've done.
they've
announced this big, expansion. So yeah, expectations are high. I
mean, they could go back to like the more classic temple format than like what they did with the Divine Beasts, where they were temple-like, but they were on the smaller side and they were a little more like self-contained, a little more intricate, little puzzly areas with not like a ton of fights or no mini bosses in it or anything really to speak of. You could go back to the classic dungeon style. I think a lot of people are vying for a darker Zelda type game.
People have been talking that for 20 years. Like,
I know they're overdue.
They're not. Nintendo is Disney. They're not making that game. It's just not.
The trailer had a spooky guy in it.
There's always the spooky guy. There's always a blades will bleed. There's always something that someone latches onto and goes, "This is the dark Zelda for me, an adult."
An adult.
Those are kids games, and they're appropriate for everyone, and that's fine.
For everyone.
Is that Majora's Mask?
Well, that's for no one. That's a literal game made for just like, could we make a garbage can in video game format? And they did.
Here you go. Yeah.
Like, can we take one of the greatest games ever made and find a way to twist everything that's good about it into something horrific?
Unbelievable.
They did it. They did it. I know. That's why I believe in them today.
Such an opinion from this man, I swear.
It's a bad game. Anyway, congratulations to Nintendo. That was fucking
I get to sit here and not fight that. Okay.
A bunch of bangers.
You should do something.
It's only a 3-hour show. What are we gonna do?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the apology section of the show.
About Majora's
you better
Mask,
say sorry about Majora's Mask, buddy.
I'm sorry to everyone that paid too much money for Majora's Mask. I'm sorry the people that read my review but didn't. That accidentally bought Majora's Mask. It's a real shame. That score should have been significantly lower than it was, but the scoring system we used at the time.
You did all you could.
Gave a lot of points to graphics and stuff, and it was still built on one of the greatest games ever made. So it still does have that DNA in there. It's just unfortunate that they ruined and threw it all away. Crossfire X,
scoundrel.
Crossfire X, the Majora's Mask of first-person shooters, came out last week, and.
That's
trying
funny
to drive me away. I see.
Yeah. Mr. Boo, the executive producer of Crossfire X, posted an apology to their official site, which it is their official site, but up in the corner it just says stove, and I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at, but I believe it is Smilegate's storefront for game Western. I don't know. Crossfire X, if you remember, is the first-person shooter that came out on Xbox last week. It is the Xbox follow-up to Crossfire, which is a Counter-Strike clone that has been big in China for decades. Almost.
For decade.
Yeah, for decade. Just
long ass time.
And it came out here. It's a mess. It's got a couple of campaigns that were made by Remedy, which look a little bit better than the multiplayer. But
do you believe that it's in the same engine though?
I don't think it is, because it has it's because the campaign stuff actually has the Remedy, like, what is it, the Northlight engine, I believe is what they call it.
Okay.
It has that logo at the top of it. And so they just developed the single player. I don't know who did the multiplayer stuff. But it's just got like, it seems like it has like 2 maps and 1 mode per map in the modern mode. It's got modern and classic. Like they're trying to do classic Crossfire. Anyway, it's a mess. And
as Boogeyman,
sadly, yes. Oh, yes. So for this joke only works if you understand what a boogeyman is, but they're nerfing the boogeyman.
What?
Mr. Boo, the executive producer of Crossfire X, says, it's clear we have inadvertently disappointed many of our players and fans that have stuck with us for a long time. Which that's already out the gate is like, is anyone that is playing this game a Crossfire fan? I feel like that game.
Yeah, I was a '90s kid. Like,
did not. It did not gain a huge foothold here in the States.
I got caught up in the Crossfire.
Sure. Not the goddamn marble game.
No, you're not the marble disc spinning shooter game, which ruled, by the way.
Yeah,
the cool. Song ruled. The commercial ruled.
The
game did not rule.
A little janky.
The game did not rule.
It was a short honeymoon, perhaps, but you know,
does not rule.
They're nerfing the boogeyman. This was if you earned 2,000 XP in a match, you could enact the boogeyman, which worked similarly to how the hero characters in like Battlefront would work. You just spawned as a different guy, but instead of Luke Skywalker, it's the boogeyman. Who spawns with like dual submachine guns and a weird demonic look. And he would auto heal and all this other stuff. The boogeyman was perhaps a little too strong, and so you'd end up with entire teams of all boogeymans.
Yeah.
And so here's what they have to say about this. Our current development approach is to implement the kill and death streak system on fast-paced maps across our modes. Having said that, the boogeyman didn't quite go well with GR Tower's map design and ended up being overpowered. What we're doing. To balance this, we will remove the auto heal feature as well as the ability to continue earning growth points while playing as the boogeyman. This means you'll be seeing them a lot less. This will be applied in the expedited patch with the control improvements, which we again expect to be delivered a few weeks ahead of our early March update. So the catch here is that like the boogeyman was the one thing about this game that was actually kind of neat.
Yep.
And so they're
nerfing the fuck out of it.
They're getting rid of it. Yeah.
I just don't think they did the calculus of like, hey, if we ever have to say this word a lot, it's going to be real dumb. Like if we ever have to like bring up the boogeyman in a way that we're explaining a technical issue with our game,
our serious looking real gun looking tactical shooter.
Yeah.
But you can be the boogeyman.
Boogeyman.
With the headphones flying off. And,
it's that game. That game fell off the map after it got announced, and they ran a beta like a long time ago that didn't seem very good.
I don't remember that. Yeah,
I am surprised that this game actually came out. Like it just felt like a game that was just destined to vanish and never be heard from again. Like someone thought better of it and went like, oh. There's no room for us in the shooter space, even free to play on Xbox. There's really no reason for us to continue throwing money into this toilet.
Nobody believes that when they have enough money, you know?
I guess so. Yeah. Crossfire is so popular that I'm sure that at some point they're like, it's Crossfire, guys.
Yeah, right.
I'm Mr. Boo. This is Crossfire. We're getting paid. Look at the boogeyman. All right.
And what was Remedy's involvement in this game again?
So there are 2 single player campaigns that are separate purchases, or I believe on Game Pass, and they are the Remedy made those, and they are not great. I think Remedy's good at a lot of stuff, but I don't know. I'm sure it would be a fascinating story, the development of Crossfire X and its campaigns as to like why it happened and how it happened and all this other stuff. But it's not. They are not good first person shooter campaigns. They feel like at best like a knockoff of an old Call of Duty campaign back when it was just like, here's the icon, follow it. They got a little bit better at hiding those in Call of Duty over the years. This just feels like right back to that. The shooting feels very generic. The environments don't feel good. Like it just feels like it feels like a game that would have come out on Xbox 360 in 2008 or 2009 after Modern Warfare blew up. They're like, we got to make one of those.
Yeah,
like it just has that feel
before they figured shit out. You know?
Janky is the word, perhaps. Speaking of janky, our next apology is from Call of Duty,
which has a lot to apologize for.
Yeah,
sure.
Apologies. Season 2 is available now. So let's see. This is them announcing that season 2 of Call of Duty Vanguard and the related Warzone experience are now available. And remember, Warzone has been kind of plagued with weird bugs and stuff like invisible skins that would just like players would just not be visible from a certain distance or and so they've got a bunch of stuff like they listed here as specific operator skins being invisible at certain distances, and a bunch of other little bugs and tweaks like if you are fixing your armor plates in Warzone, it replaces a partially damaged plate before filling an empty slot, so it kind of wastes half a plate of armor, stuff like that. That's like kind of okay, yeah, but maybe larger issues with the invisible skin type stuff. And this comes with a big like, hey, we are gonna prioritize communicating with the community here and trying to be upfront about stuff and your requests and stuff. And then they go right on to say like, hey, we hear you when you say you want a field of view slider on console. We are not doing it. So just because they're listening doesn't mean they're going to do it. But it sounds like that's, this is, they cite performance issues as the reason here for not implementing that. I am not of the mind that console games need to have FOV sliders personally.
Oh, sure.
It's nice when they do, but
Really?
I don't feel like that's the standard yet.
I don't know.
That
seems like one of the first things that I go to, and some other people do. Like I know Rory does.
Yeah.
As
No,
well.
I know there are people that are just like live and die by that availability, but it's never on console. Like I think on PC where you're sitting way closer to the screen and all that other stuff. I think there's a reason, especially if you were to say have a 21:9 monitor, maybe you want to make some adjustments there.
I'm
like
sitting that close with my TV. Shit. Give me that option. Give me that option.
If they're going to give you that option and then have to worry that it's going to break a bunch of stuff.
I mean, FOV can, especially anything where you can see your hands, really breaks it. I want to say it also, I'm actually not 100% sure, but I want to say it actually stresses out the video card a little bit more when you have more to see on the screen.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's putting more geometry on screen at a time. Yeah, so there's, I think their performance impact, like that makes sense. Especially for they are citing the old platforms here specifically.
Okay.
And also they're making a new Warzone, so maybe they'll put it in there once they can leave those old consoles behind. This is tucked in like at the bottom of them saying like, hey, we're listening. We're not doing what you're saying, but we're listening. But here's the stuff we are doing. And then you get down to the bottom, they're like, oh, by the way, here's 5 bullet points about the next Call of Duty game, about this year's Call of Duty game.
They're ready,
and it's February.
Yeah.
That's way like the idea. There's a real feeling of like they are just trying to sweep this year under the rug and be like, we get it. No, we get it. We get it. We fucked up. All right, just whoops.
Yeah,
but like, stick with us.
Imagine buying something and then it being like, now that you have this, what about the next one that you're gonna?
This is the original Xbox of Call of Duty games.
Yeah.
Okay, so here are those bullet points, and this is some of this stuff has leaked. They say this year's Call of Duty is a sequel to Modern Warfare 2019. That had leaked out.
Yep.
The new game and a new Warzone experience are designed together from the ground up. We knew based on some of the contractual stuff that Bloomberg talked about recently that they were working on a follow-up Warzone, which again, pretty obvious stuff. Yep. Expect a massive evolution of Battle Royale with all new play space and a new sandbox mode. A new engine powers both the new Call of Duty game release and Warzone. And development on both the new Call of Duty and the Warzone experience is being led by Infinity Ward. Those are the details. Okay. Jeff Baclar, you have bailed on Call of Duty.
Yeah, what's up with that?
What does this do for you?
It's just not good. It's more like what it
is. I mean, this feels like them saying like, no, you're right. It's not good.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess I kind of respect that in a way, in a weird way where, this game, I bounced off this Call of Duty quicker than any one I've played in the last probably 4 years or so.
But that more due to like your player group or
like we all kind of collectively arrived at that conclusion simultaneously, where we were just like, this isn't fun anymore. I think I arrived during the beta, to be quite frank. I remember playing that beta being like, I just don't think this is gonna have the legs. It's just a hunch. But I mean, look, like there is something the game, aside from, if you look past all of the frustrating bugs and quality of life stuff that just did not work, like this is a game that stopped really kind of working for us. Like we could not get into a match together. We couldn't do a lot of things that we could do easily with the last Black Ops and then the Modern Warfare before that. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to sweep this under the rug and get looking forward to the next one. It's I would still be playing this if it had a bit of what the last two games had. But
do you want it right away as next year, or do you want them to take some time with it?
I want the game when they are happy with the game.
Okay,
give me the product that you're proud of.
They were happy with this last one. I'm pushed it.
I don't believe that.
Okay,
someone was, but I don't know.
Someone was.
I mean, it was. I guess it was fit to ship, but
sure.
That's. It doesn't go far when you look at like just how rough that online experience has been, and campaign is just not good.
I played more Call of Duty Ghost than this.
Wow. Which is crazy to say out loud.
I don't have Vanguard installed on any platform.
Yeah.
I usually leave like the last couple of Call of Duties installed.
Just to let it update.
Yeah. Just because, I got unlimited bandwidth. I might as well fucking use it. Tax these CDNs. Let's fucking go.
You are making a really forward thinking decision to play Call of Duty. Like you have to say like, hey, this weekend, it being Tuesday, like let's go play Call of Duty. Everyone could settle their bandwidth affairs.
Well, they fucked up like a lot of the Modern Warfare stuff. Like as Warzone continued, like the way to download the Modern Warfare multiplayer stuff on PlayStation is just a fucking train wreck. Like last time I launched that, it was like, there's 2 packs you need to download.
Yeah,
I'm like, wait, I'm pretty sure I downloaded those. It's not like you're patching Modern Warfare. Like what the fuck broke? But like Warzone's getting long in the tooth because it's still like on console anyway, because those are still PlayStation 4 and Xbox One clients. And so like the need for a full update to Warzone that's more than just like them slamming a fucking map into it. And apparently Snoop Dogg, there was a leak of a model of that apparently. It's just they need to do something bigger. The idea of a new sandbox mode sounds potentially interesting. Fortnite-ish in a sense. I don't know.
I mean, look, the only thing I'll say outside of like the specific issues with this game is I don't think there was a lot going for Vanguard, right?
Yeah.
In terms of just like the temperature of the audience and the sort of like desire for just yet another thing back to this time period. And it's just like there was nothing here that really resonated in a major way. And I think the combination of all these things leads you to a game that is basically already having you look forward to the next iteration of it. So
which is like, that's such a dark, like the market is like the idea that it's not like, oh, Call of Duty's bad, what else am I gonna do? It's like, oh well, the next one will be good. It's like, I don't know, man, the last 2 have been pretty fucking rough. Also, like, so they're saying, hey, Infinity Ward's gonna work on this, and Infinity Ward is has a new engine. That's weird to me because that's kind of what they said about Modern Warfare. Like I went to the studio and watched the big presentation on that, and they showed all the photogrammetry and all the other wild shit they were doing to like finally get Call of Duty a little more up to date. And I guess, now that we're technically fully on new consoles, whereas then they were like making all these engine changes in the last year before new consoles. I'm sure there's more that they can do, but I just wonder how much of an engine overhaul this really is when they have relatively recently done a whole bunch of like really good work to the Call of Duty engine. Like that strikes me as weird. I
mean,
we'll see.
Let me ask you this, right? Like how much of that language is now just another sort of like bullet point on the back of the box, right? Where it's like, how much weight does that necessarily carry? What does that actually mean?
Right. Yeah. And there's definitely been cases where they've been like new engine. And it's just been like, well, we redid the renderer, but this is still like the thing I always wonder is like, is there still id software code at the bottom of this? Like there's this still like there's been id tech all the way down in Call of Duty forever. Like in the networking stack, I forget where it lives, but there was, you know, like underneath it all, there was Quake.
Somewhere it's got its footprints.
And I wonder if that's still going to be the case here, or how long until that's not the case, I guess. More games are getting approved for the Steam Deck ahead of launch. Jeff Bakalar, you have a Steam Deck. Tell us all about it.
Yeah. How's the hentai situation over there?
I cannot confirm nor deny that this is a story that is on this podcast.
Okay. All right. So does prison sex 18 plus run on? Actually, I can tell you. So they are up over the 300. Yeah. According to SteamDB, over at steamdb.info, they are tracking the back end particulars of Steam. They've been doing this for years, and there are 3 different toggles for the game database there where they can tell you if a game has been Steam Deck verified, Steam Deck playable, or Steam Deck unsupported. Currently the unsupported toggle has 255 games in it, and it's a lot of VR stuff, like stuff that obviously is not going to run on Steam Deck.
That makes sense.
Verified appears to be the stuff that is like Valve stamped, like yes, and then Steam Deck playable seems like the murky middle ground of like, yeah, this will run, but maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a Steam Deck. I can't, even if I did, I couldn't.
Yeah, this will run, but you'll need to have a keyboard installed to type in your name at the beginning of some shit. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sex Prison does not appear to be on the list of verified games currently. But they are up over 300.
What is Linus Tech Tips doing over there? Get on that.
I know. Where's iFixit? Tear it down and insert the Sex Prison. Vampire Survivors is on the list.
Okay.
Hey,
it was not. It was not last time I looked. In fact, this game, this says 340 games right now, and last night it said 333.
Damn, they're working.
There's, as they run up to the launch, it seems like they are, whatever. I don't know if it's a submission process like you would do for a console or what they're doing. The whitelisting nature of this reminds me of the Vita TV.
Oh wow.
So this is not like
okay.
Yeah, these games are not changing themselves. It's more to interact with Proton, right?
They're just growing as people.
Yeah.
So
I'm
sometimes
really
they are. Sometimes it's changed. It's going to be different across the board. I believe Vampire Survivors did an engine, like rebuilt the game in a different engine recently to facilitate a Linux port.
Wow.
Don't know. That whole game sounds like very much kind of like both extremely fly by night, like off the guy just coding in a random apartment in Russia somewhere, but also
it's just like, hey, I added 2 more weapons and some achievements to put that in. There's 2 more evolutions and some achievements.
New characters, I don't
know.
Yeah.
But in one of those patch notes, there was talk about reworking the bones of that game to support Linux, which seems like that would be what you would need to do, or maybe what you would need to do to get this version going. What else we got here? I'm just going through the list here. If anyone else looking at the list sees anything, call it out. It's, hey, Dying Light 1 is on this list. FTL is on that list. That'd be a good portable game.
Yeah.
Psychonauts 2. None of the neither Halo Infinite nor Halo Master Chief Collection are currently on the list.
Man.
Currently.
That might be a right thing. I'm assuming Microsoft maybe doesn't want the Game Pass games to be. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, they sell the games on Steam, so
I know, but it's
and Forza is one of the games that Valve sent around saying like, "Hey, this game is on our thing." So there's other Microsoft stuff. I doubt it's anything nefarious. It's probably just like, "Hey, this game literally the anti-cheat stuff just doesn't work," or whatever it is. God of War is currently on the list.
Yeah, God of War's there. I wonder like what the process truly is.
Your Rising
I'm basing
Revengeance.
that on this list.
Yeah.
I'm basing it only on this list. It does seem like there's something that has to happen. Like it seems like things are just flipping over overnight, right? Like, I don't know. Yeah.
I'm looking because there's a dev focused blog here. Here we go. that they have here. They have a post from late January just called Steam Deck Verified Test Requests. In preparation for the upcoming Steam Deck release, we've spent the last several months testing thousands of titles in the back catalog for our Deck Verified program. Up until now, we've been prioritizing the titles heuristically based on playtime and interest from Deck reservation holders. Starting today, we're also enabling a manual submit for review button for titles that you want to prioritize independent of our heuristics. Because testing bandwidth is limited and we want to guarantee a quick turnaround for review requests, we're initially granting access only to a small set of partners. We'll be reaching out to partners individually when access is granted, so there's no need to contact us or register anywhere.
Wow.
I think the cool thing here, though, too, right, is like it's moving along pretty fast, and I feel like going by this logic, going by this sort of pattern that seems to be sort of bubbling up here. I would imagine that like pretty much any game that might be doable will get done, right? It seems like
it, yeah.
You know,
on the anti-cheat front, they had another post from January 21st saying that if your game uses easy anti-cheat or battle eye, that there are ways to enable Proton support. And they have partner documentation there about how to make that work. That's obviously a big hurdle, getting the anti-cheat stuff up and running for a lot of multiplayer games. And so it seems like that work was done a little while ago. But that is something where devs will have to touch their game to make sure that it is, making proper use of Proton and all other stuff to function. So it's not quite a zero touch process from the looks of things, but it seems like it's coming along. Like that list was a lot shorter a week ago. It reminds me of like the backwards compatibility testing before a console launch or something like that, where I think when we got Xbox One or Xbox Series X's, like a lot of that stuff didn't work for like a few weeks, and then it all just kind of like a firmware update hit, and it was like, okay, now this is the console you think it is. And so Valve is just doing it in a very public way with a scrapable database and partner updates and all this other stuff. So it's neat to see it come together. Jason, do you think that Capcom's going to announce Street Fighter 6 in in 5 days and 8 hours?
It's weird, just because of the timing. Like it's set to end at the end of Capcom, Pro Tours stuff, their exhibition stuff. But they also did just announce a partnership with Arby's entitled Meat Fighter.
Oh, okay. What?
So maybe I
don't fight the meat.
You don't fight the meat. Not traditionally. You eat the meat, but sometimes if you're Rocky or something, you fight the meat.
Okay.
So maybe it's this is happening on capcom.com/countdown or something. It is capcom-games.com/countdown.
But I see nothing of Arby's. Yeah,
we're talking about nothing of Arby's
as of yet. But if you look at like Arby's posts throughout the day on Twitter, Street Fighter as well, they've announced a partnership where they are fighting meat. They're meat fighters. So I mean, I'm inclined to go that way. That there might be some like new meat sandwich.
I mean, I looked up Capcom Arby's and I found out that there is a character named Abby in Final Fight 3. There is an Arby. So this is a match made in heaven, obviously.
So the synergy has just been just like they've been
long time coming.
Trying to just fucking synergize for eons, it seems. So either there's meat fighting, or there might be an announcement of a Street Fighter, like some sort of fighting game. It does
some
tie
sort
up
of fighting game.
Some sort of fighting game. Street Fighter 6 has been teased for an awfully long time. Could be
the
that.
last Street Fighter 5 character, was it Luke?
Yeah, Luke.
When they put Luke out or announced Luke, they were like, this guy's gonna matter for Street Fighter 6.
Street Fighter, yeah. Fuck. God, I hope not. But yeah, they've said that. But it might be time. It might be time for an announcement for Street Fighter 6.
Seems weird. It just seems weird to me. Something about it feels too soon. I think that's
You know
like a
what's weird about
byproduct
it?
of what's that?
What's weird about it is that it hasn't been leaked yet, so we don't know.
Right. Yeah.
'Cause
Don't worry. There's 5 days left
5
for
days left.
all the trailers and like the 5 years of DLC plans will leak.
Who knows? Yeah. So we'll see in about 6 days or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
5 days, 8 hours. And
5 days, 8 hours.
I guess like it really has been a long time since Street Fighter V came out, but I think in context of if you lived through the distance between Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 3, it feels like it's somehow a decade too soon for them to announce a new Street Fighter.
Perhaps. Yeah.
And I'll
not
always
according
wear
to
those scars, I guess.
Yeah, not according to their cadence as of late. I think it is time for them to announce another Street Fighter. I think they're ready to do that. Ono was kind of moved on. The current producers have been doing good stuff with the current roster and the current engine and everything, and I think they're ready to kind of cut ties and just like start fresh. So this could be something big, but maybe it's just an announcement at Arby's where they're announcing Meat Fighter. Yeah. And there'll be some Meat Fighter matches at the Capcom Pro Tour. Who the fuck knows? I don't know.
Oh boy, could you imagine? Also of note is that we are in the 35th anniversary year of Street Fighter, so there's always outside chance that there's like, hey, we're doing another anniversary pack, even though we just did those.
Right. Seriously, yeah, I have some 30th anniversary memorabilia around here somewhere.
Yeah, and it's not like that much has happened in the world of Street Fighter in the last 5 years, other than Street Fighter V. So I guess,
but yeah,
I hope it has nothing to do with any of this stuff, and it's more Resident Evil games.
Yeah, let's tie that into the Capcom Cup, and there's a new hunk character called Meat Fighter.
Sure. What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who knows?
It's a crossover event. Meat from Mortal Kombat is joining the Street Fighter V roster.
Who knows?
Finally, the Mortal Kombat Street Fighter crossover you've been demanding. God,
Yeah.
if they got to the end of a fighting game tournament and then said, "Here's info on the next Resident Evil,"
Wouldn't that be fully donked up?
That'd be fucked up.
That'd be
so stupid.
Capcom, yes.
But what if instead of Street Fighter 6, it's fucking a new alpha? What if it's goddamn Street Fighter 04?
Don't even fucking tease, because that would be no.
What if it was something actually good?
God, no, I don't believe it. I don't believe it can happen.
What if they made a new Darkstalkers?
Fuck off! Don't tease like that. Good Lord.
Someone in the chat points out that the font that they're using for the countdown numbers does look a little spooky looking. So maybe
there's a glow on those numbers that definitely is a little spooky. I'll give you that.
Son of a bitch. Yeah.
What if it's a Street Fighter themed survival horror game?
Hell yeah.
I'll take whatever at this point.
I'll do that.
Fucking A. Yeah. Either way, I'm excited. If it's Street Fighter related, if it's RE, regardless, there's fucking Arby's involved. So sign me up.
All right.
God, that's fucking.
Arby's stopped selling 8-piece mozzarella sticks and started selling 6-piece mozzarella sticks. So I don't know.
Those mozzarella sticks?
Clear indicator of what's
those. Yeah. So it's got to be Street Fighter.
I mean, figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Read the tea leaves.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. Cyberpunk the CD Projekt Red had a live stream this morning focused on Cyberpunk. That stuff's out now.
Yeah.
That stuff. So they were saying this is a Q1 release, and sure enough, here we are in Q1. It comes along with patch 1.5. Matt Rory, have you looked over these patch notes? You are a Cyberpunk fan. I finished Cyberpunk.
Some time ago.
We were talking about open world stuff. I started this game up. I bought it for like $15 on the Epic holiday sale. Figured I'd play around for like a few hours because I knew a big patch was coming. I spent 50 hours on that game in January. I think it's fucking fantastic. I love it a bunch. It's one of my favorite games of recent months for sure. But I did look over the patch notes. I actually loaded up a little bit this morning. I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. The vehicle physics stuff is definitely one of the biggest things for me because if you played any of the base game, vehicles in this game basically rotated around the center of their axis. Like they felt like toys.
Oh, weird.
For the entire time that I played the game, which is why you don't really drive a huge amount in that game.
I never took cars because it launched the performance tanked huge when you got in a car. So I just like between the fast travel and all this other stuff, you just never needed a car anyway. Really,
you don't. I mean, if you're scooting around the Borderlands or whatever the outside world, you want to have a vehicle, but that's definitely one of the bigger ones. I loaded up for like 5 minutes earlier today. They unequipped all your weapons. They redone all the perks. So you're gonna have to I have to put 80 perks back in. And there's expanded romances. It's a lot of stuff that like I'm not gonna buy more apartments in that game. I don't care about that shit.
It's weird because when you launch it on console, I don't know if the PC version does this, but there's a tab on there that just says additional content. And when you hit it, it shows this big long list of all those additions, like player apartments and all this other stuff. And it treats it as if they're like it's a DLC add-on, but you can't uninstall it or it just says already installed. So it's like this weird way for them to advertise, hey, we changed the game in a way that seems
it's really weird. There's like an alternate visual appearance for Silverhand or things like that. But
I saw that. Do you know what that is? Is that, do you make him not look like Keanu? Like what the fuck does it make him naked? What
outfit? I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I saw that it was already installed, and I've been playing the game. I said for 50 hours. He appears in that a bunch with the same look over and over again. But yeah, I'm kind of like I said, the combat stuff is going to be really interesting to see. Because I played most of that game on normal, and it got to a point where I could walk up to people and just shotgun them in the face.
Invincible.
They can do anything to me.
Invincible by the end
and
of
then
that game.
Knocked it up to hard, and all of a sudden, like 3 bullets kill you. So you do at that point have to be very stealthy and like use cyber psychosis side and those cyber hacks on people to take them out before you sneak up. But I mean, at some point, like I had this submachine gun that could see people through walls and shoot people through walls. So that took out anybody I would be hiding behind covers, shooting everybody. And then a homing bullet sniper rifle that I could literally lock onto somebody, aim it up in the air, and have it like hit their head on top of it and kill them right away. So even with the hard mode, I was basically just, I would turn on that game after work last month and just run around and shoot street gangs, like without even interacting with the quest stuff. And I was having a very good time.
Yeah,
I think it's got a great, like I was saying, I think on UPF, the lean model in that game where you just hide behind cover and it'll automatically lean you out is fantastic. So I'm looking forward to playing more. I've been playing a lot of Dying Light 2 the last week. Probably getting open world burnout at some point, but I mean, Cyberpunk, I can't speak to the next gen console or current gen console stuff, but the PC version, even 1.3, was fantastic. It is the best looking game I've ever played in my life by far. Like it's a beautiful game.
I guess you're making me want to re-download the PC version and just see, because like I remember that game looking fine when it was all working. I mean, obviously, people would T-pose and freak out and do all this weird stuff.
Some of that weird stuff already.
There was stuff that I just remember looking at it and going like, it looks fine, it looks good, but I did not, even with it turned all the way up, didn't necessarily come away from it going like, this is an amazing looking video game. But
I turn RTX off and I find that it runs better, and it still RTX is a weird sticking point for me, because I think I'm just blind to whatever RTX is supposed to do. Like I don't see it. I look at those Digital Foundry videos like side by side. It's like, if you look at the shadow under the plus seat, man, it's like a little darker here. It's like I don't get it. So I turn it off.
No, you're having a laugh. What are you talking
about? I honestly don't see what RTX is.
You don't see Ray?
You can't? Not in Dying Light 2. I know it turns my frame rate way down.
No. Look, game by game, that's one thing, but a side by side, I mean, it's not exactly hidden pictures.
I'm exaggerating for a little bit, but I honestly would prefer to have the frame rate in almost every case that I turn that on.
All right.
Okay.
That's why you just need to spend more money and have both.
I know.
Look, at least you're not like motion, at least you're not like,
It's one of those things where I don't, when I'm playing a game in moment to moment, I am shooting people in the head, and that's what I'm focusing on, rather than looking at a puddle to see the reflection of the building across the streets. I rag on it a little bit.
Sometimes that gets me there, but
yeah.
I would love for that stuff to be amazing.
Where are you sitting? You just have you've got the ultra wide, you've got a badass PC. You don't have PS5 or Xbox Series X. No, okay, all right. Yeah, I was going to ask like where I should go, because I've got the PC version. Is that being updated kind of day and date?
Yeah, like a lot of those updates have already, I mean, they're not adding ray tracing to it because it already had it, but they are the gameplay updates of the patch are all there.
Okay.
They put out a big graph as to what console gets what on
it's weird.
Series X and PS5. They've got
different. Wow.
Well, so the difference between those two is like DualSense triggers. Like that's the only change.
Okay.
And I'd be curious to see how they use the triggers there. I guess, but they've got a graphical toggle in there. If you want 4K 60 with no ray tracing, you can go for that. If you want 4K 30 with ray tracing, you can go for that. They both use like a dynamic resolution scaling a little bit. So I imagine, it'll keep up as best it can.
Okay. So those seem pretty similar, the console versions.
Yes.
I mean,
at least on paper, they put out gameplay footage of both. I haven't tried either of them. I downloaded the Xbox version of the patch before the show, and I'll probably try it out there.
Yeah. Right.
Just to see how well it runs and start a game fresh, because I have a PC save that is like fucking invincible end of the game, all this other stuff, and it's like they didn't go in and added a new game plus or all that other stuff.
That's the one I've seen a lot of people asking for, like new game plus, because
I think the way that game ends is really clunky when you think about modern games of that type and how new game plus is kind of a standard, like a fairly standard thing for that type of open world game. It seems very weird that it's just the old style, just like here's your point of no return. Don't go into the club.
It seems very just like we're crossing the finish line. Let's just fucking do this.
Totally.
I'm the same way. Like most open world games, I really don't play twice. Not even New Game Plus. It's not a feature that I'm really into. But that was one thing that I saw a lot of people talking about this morning. I really was I could take this save and just start it over.
That's ultimately my biggest problem with the game is still is like they can make all these changes to the driving and all this other stuff, and I'm sure it's a significantly better game than it was. Obviously, right? It's a better game than it was at launch, of course.
Yeah.
But it's not like they overhauled the story. Like so many of my problems were based on a lot of the storytelling and writing throughout the main quest and how a lot of that stuff ended. And then in my specific situation, I feel like the ending either like I had a crash on me as soon as I made the final choice and some other just weird shit that like, you kind of get a save near the end that you can just go see the 3 different versions of it or whatever you want to do, the 2 different versions.
Okay.
And I just, that stuff was awkward and janky in a way that the first time I went to go make the decision, it was making the opposite decision of the one I thought I was making because stuff seemed like it was labeled so poorly. And so it's just like, what the fuck? There's just so many things like that. But even just the overall story of it, I just thought, well, whatever. We don't need to fucking litigate the whole game again. Like that's well-worn territory. But I guess, like you said, like you're not going to go back and play an open world game twice. Like I played that game at launch. And it's neat, like the idea that they reworked the driving. I'm like, yeah, that's something they should have done. I don't know that it's a big enough deal to be a full bullet point here, but I already finished that game. I don't.
There's a lot of stuff under that driving section that they
it's like
ABS.
Weirdly detailed in a way that you're like, okay,
I'm not going to go do these car races. I don't care that much about it.
You're going to go make your multiplayer thing, and obviously you're going to need to drive in it. So you got to fix it someday.
But I spent 50 hours and I haven't beaten the whole thing. I find it to be like Yolanda likes to watch some games that I play. And when she's watching me play Dying Light 2, I just skip all the dialogue. I don't care. But with Cyberpunk, I think the cutscenes and the dialogues are so well done that I'll just watch them and play them. And I'm they say they've elaborated on the romances. I don't really care about romances all that much in games, but I do want to see if Judy likes my Lady V at some point. I'm in the middle of that romance right now, so I'm not sure if I'm like too late to get the new. You can sleep with their boyfriends and girlfriends in their apartments now.
What?
How do you feel about that?
Yeah,
I don't get to do that here.
Houses. Yeah.
I say if you haven't played that game and you do have a PS5 or 360, it'll probably be on sale for like $20 sometime soon. But I think that PC version of the game last month
it's probably full price right now, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say I bet that they're like, okay, discontinue all the sales. Let's get. But I bet it is a free upgrade from old versions, so I bet you could go find a physical disc.
And a lot of people who refunded on PS4 never had the game removed from their library. I think they just gave you the money back. So try it now if you refunded it. That works. The PC version is spectacular. I think if I had played that game in 2021, it would have been right near the top of my game of the year list. I know it came out in 2020, but I think that game is great, and I hope.
Dude, I had such high anticipation for that game. It was the
I
one
waited a year purposely. So
yeah, man, you definitely had it right there, man. Shit. It's one of those things of like, well, we got to check these games out when they come out. But even as I was playing at the time, I was just like, fuck, man.
Yeah, that would have killed.
This will be like a more playable game in 6 months. But
and we still can't like that game was the product of obscene crunch for those poor developers.
Right?
You can't like sweep that under the rug now that it's better a year later. That's still a shameful.
Like, this is when the game should have come out.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that people like work themselves to death to get that game out and have it be as bad as it was on launch is still a black mark on the way this industry operates. And I don't want to, we've talked a lot about that on the podcast.
I'm
but
with you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So all that stuff's available now. Let's see. Visual Concepts, the studio that I still think of, Floygan brother. No, NFL 2K when they come up, but they are in fact the NBA 2K and the WWE 2K developers these days. They have a studio in Foothill Ranch down in Orange County, and they are looking for people on what is referred to in this Video Games Chronicle article, citing their job postings as an unannounced open world driving game with a major license. This AAA title is targeted at multiple platforms.
Let's go. Fucking WWE Brawl,
Crush Hour 2.
Crush Hour 2. Yes. Let's go.
Yes. The time is now to make Crush Hour 2, and it's an open world car combat game. The Undertaker drives a hearse. Stone Cold Steve Austin has just a monster truck or something, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah, just Tombstone or something.
Probably.
Yeah, you get the twisty rockets.
I'm on board. Yes, you can. Accept my application right now.
This interests me as someone who thinks that there are just not enough driving games coming out anymore, and there's not enough competition in that space. I guess 2K looked at the last handful of years of Need for Speed and said, "Fucking, we could do that."
Yeah.
But a major license. What's a major license in the world of driving?
Yeah, that's what I'm racking my brain
about. A driver's
about.
license.
Those are big.
That's it.
You need those.
Okay.
Look, they've got a major license, and we're not afraid to use it to safely navigate the roads. I don't know. I don't. What is a major like? I don't know.
Fast and the Furious is a major license.
But there's so many.
My brain didn't.
That's
go
not
there.
a driving game anymore.
Yeah.
And I like
NASCAR.
an open world NASCAR game.
No, because
You could go in circles in the open world.
How is that open world? I don't get it.
Is it Driven, the Sylvester Stallone film?
Maybe.
Cars 3, Jan offers.
It's actually gone in 60 seconds. I'm calling it
Cars.
Yeah. There's a part of me that thinks that like if you're talking about a major license and you're talking about a driving game, like Fast and the Furious is kind of the only one. Unless you're talking about a real car license, like you're like it's going to be a Porsche themed game, which I don't think makes sense.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
But again, like those games are family games, not driving games. So it's like in the It Takes Two department of best family game every year is Fast and Furious. It's the most about
open world driving game where you're driving with your parents who are trying not to get divorced the whole time you're on the road trip.
Yeah,
it's called Are We There Yet?
Back?
Yeah, and each car has 2 steering wheels. You have to play 2-player.
If you want to get a major license, why don't you get the Burnout license and
buy that from EA and make something good.
You know,
Kilgore Trout in chat says Cannonball Run. Fucking yeah, okay,
sure,
that'd be good.
A Cannonball Run video game where you can pick the ambulance. That would be good.
Huge right now, sure, absolutely. Yeah. Mickey and the Roadster Racers. I know you're not looking for family stuff, but Mickey Mouse, pretty huge.
They're already making that Speedster, whatever, free to play Mario Kart thing. I think Mario, like Mickey Mouse in cars, is all. Yes.
Oh well,
that's Disney Pixar characters. So like Mickey Mouse is spoken for. He's already driving a car
off the course. Then
never
mind.
Yeah, I don't. There's no other details here other than that. So I just look at it and go like, they're looking for a technical artist, and some other stuff like that. The Video Games Chronicle article does go on to say, hey, the parent company here owns Midnight Club, which has been a Rockstar franchise for a good long time. I don't think that qualifies.
No.
No, although it's a very generous definition of major license.
Yeah. And also not a license. They own it. It's
Right,
an IP, not a license. So,
going back to Gone in 60 Seconds now again.
Yeah.
Just makes sense.
Is it a gigantic Lego world? Is it like
baby
what are
racers?
Yeah.
Baby driver racers.
Baby shark racers.
Oh.
No? All right. Well,
I mean,
you hit the horn. It says it just plays.
Gosh. We've created the most insufferably annoying game in the history of games.
I love it.
You thought it was WWE, but no, we've one-upped ourselves and made something even more insufferable.
That's right. The
Baby Shark.
open world Baby Shark game.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know who wrote Jan wrote Shrek in this doc.
God damn it, Jan.
Yes. A Shrek kart racing game in an open world. I don't know. That's
kart racer at some point. I feel like
that there has to have been,
it
right?
has to have happened, right?
Shrek kart.
Maybe
racer.
I think it was like a browser game. It feels like a browser.
No, it's a Game Boy Advance and other.
Okay.
It is Superstar Karts, so it's not just Shrek, but Shrek is. Oh, and there's also Shrek Swamp Kart Speedway.
There's more than one.
Multiples of those.
Wow.
Multiple of those.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I am intrigued about this one because that's, like I said, there just aren't enough people making big driving games anymore. You've got Ubisoft with The Crew. You've got Need for Speed whenever that thing eventually comes out again. Forza Horizon, and that's kind of it in the open world driving space. There's been threats of a new test drive supposedly coming out at some point here. But I don't know where that's at.
There's a Need for Speed not too long ago, right? Or like a port of
they've been off for a couple of years now. I believe they're scheduled for this year, but it's been a bit since they put one of those out. And the last few of those, I feel like the last generation, like the PS4, Xbox One era, has not been kind to Need for Speed. Someone, a former EA person, once described it to me as they played Dark Souls and got obsessed with making an always online kind of driving game in that form, but not.
That's where driver cars came from.
Which is, even that sounds crazy to me. Anyway, let's see. And there's a Netflix BioShock movie.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's the extent of the information. I think there's a studio attached to it that has a background in horror.
Yeah, Vertigo.
Vertigo Entertainment.
Vertigo. Okay.
And I mean, at the bottom of this variety story, they do. I mean, everyone kind of knew like there's another BioShock in development, but they say 2K's Cloud Chamber Studio is deep in active development on the next iteration of the series. And okay, I mean, look, they could have saved themselves a whole lot of trouble by.
Oh, I guess that's actually a quote. Okay, so yeah, that's not just Variety like printing the thing that everyone knew because it's been leaked. That's actually Strauss Zelnick saying, "Yo, Cloud Chamber is working on that." So yeah,
I mean,
that's been forever. That's been kicking around.
Like Gore Verbinski was attached to it for a long time, right? Like
the movie, right? Yes, there was that, of course.
Who wants to work with a water set again after all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies? Yeah, let's get Gore Verbinski to do it because he doesn't mind getting wet.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the set. They had it in the movie The Shape of Water. That was BioShock. They all they needed to do was like hold on to that, or even not even strike it. Just leave it there.
Just put a little girl in there.
Just get a big goofy guy in a big old drill costume, and we're done. So
for context, Vertigo Entertainment has brought us some really big deal horror movies like The Ring, The Grudge, Dark Water, The Departed, The Uninvited.
Oh wow.
They're like, we have enough.
The remake of Old Boy.
Yeah.
Well.
About
that one.
Lego Movie.
Okay.
What?
All right.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Lego movie, so good.
Yeah. First Lego movie is unbelievable.
It.
Cool.
First one's okay.
Dr. Sleep. It Chapter 2, obviously. Disaster Artist.
Yeah, they have a perfectly fine resume.
It's a big deal.
So why would they go and do this then?
Yeah.
Why? So are you not clamoring for a BioShock thing?
They also made
a
the
game.
Death
Sure,
Note,
I would. Yeah,
Netflix adaptation. So yikes.
I just think
I would be curious to see what a new BioShock video game is at this point. But turning it into a film, I mean, Uncharted came out, by the we didn't.
Well, come on.
Anyone go catch that one?
It came out
because
the movie.
Like there's like a new Sandra Bullock movie coming out that looks like they should have just called that Uncharted. Like, have you seen that? Where it just looks
I believe I did see the trailer. Yeah,
it's like there's some sort of like handoff that is. I mean, look, like I'm sure The Last of Us will be. It'll be better than Uncharted
specifically. I mean, God, like
there's no story. There's no one. It's not about it. Right?
And what is Uncharted if not like, oh well, we thought Tomb Raider was cool, and what's Tomb Raider if not like, well, we thought Indiana Jones would be cool, but what if it was a lady?
Right.
And so like you've got this like refracted through 9 different mirrors and lenses and funhouse this and that to where suddenly you're like, and now we're turning this back into a movie.
Totally.
As I said when we were first talking about it, homeopathic Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
A couple molecules of that by this point.
Right? Uncharted on paper as a movie, idiotic. I've always thought that BioShock's storytelling, specifically the first one, is strong enough to hold its way through a feature film for sure.
I'm kind of with you on that. Yeah.
I think you could. I think you could.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, like just the first 10 minutes alone of that game, or that's it. It's all you need. Like you can be off to the races with that setup. So
who are they definitely going to cast as Andrew Ryan? That'll fuck the whole thing up. My image in my head is Sean Penn with a little
Chris Pratt
thin mustache. Yeah, Chris Pratt, great. Andrew Ryan
with a thin little mustache.
Oh Jesus,
Ed Norton. I mean,
I can see that one. Because that's like basically the only role from that game. Your character is mute for the most part. There's the other character.
Yeah, but they're gonna make him sassy and quippy. It's a movie.
Yeah,
Nicolas Cage.
There we go.
Ooh.
Nick Nolte as Andrew.
Nick Nolte as Andrew Ryan. No, for whatever reason, Murray Bartlett jumped out at me. The guy from he's in White Lotus. He's the hotel manager. I don't know why. This Australian dude.
Mm-hmm.
Half the actors in Hollywood are Australian now. So
Happy Australia Day.
Yeah.
It's the code.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They'll probably fuck it up, but I hope it's good.
I think that's where I'm coming from is just like I still view we're making a video game movie as kind of slumming it, especially when they've got a track record as they do of making other movies that people liked. That there's a certain part of this that you're just like, why make a fucking BioShock movie? Go make something else.
Well, like they also have a history of adapting things from other stuff, like The
okay.
Ring and The Grudge.
Ring
and those were all pre-existing things. Old Boy, even Death Note. You know.
Yeah.
I just feel like enough time has passed.
It's so good on Death Note, the live action version. Oh,
like all of the rumblings when BioShock seemingly was like ready to go as a movie.
Yeah,
I think enough time has passed where like lessons have been learned. Education about video game adaptations has become.
People liked that Sonic movie, and now video game movies are back on the table.
Just I think.
But have lessons been learned?
I'm cautiously optimistic.
The lesson that these can make money has been learned, but like, were any good lessons learned?
Yeah, but like, look,
we'll find out.
The only lesson to be learned is whether or not it's profitable. Yeah. That's the only thing that anybody.
That's the other part is like, okay, they've got a new BioShock coming out, so that will kind of reignite the brand a little bit. But at this point, BioShock as a video game franchise is not in the public consciousness in a mainstream way that you need to get a movie off the ground.
And it's not in like my best sort of like graces either. Like I did not love Infinite, and
maybe the normies who don't know about video games will be like, oh, how fantastical, an underwater city.
Like how fucking.
I mean, if they even do an underwater city, I mean, if you the true nature of BioShock means that they could just we built a fucking lighthouse set, so we're good.
There's always a man. There's always a lighthouse. You're good to go.
I think those
ending to BioShock Infinite, I think, would be fucking mind blowing to people that were not, traditionally in that fucking.
If you made it on the metaverse ass fucking metaverse that BioShock Infinite ended up doing, Like at some point, you're just making that Space Jam sequel because you're just like, what do we own that we can have people transfer into? It's like, here's Bugs Bunny and he's standing next to a lighthouse. That's a funny gag, right? It's a funny gag, right? Put it in. We own Bugs Bunny, use it.
I knew I should have taken a left turn at Rapture.
Right. Perfect.
Nice.
Fucking writes itself. All right, that's gonna do it for news. It just says Bradley Cooper in big type at the bottom of the news document, so that's clear that it's time to move on. We're gonna take another break, and we're gonna take a couple of emails before we send it on home. So hang out. We'll be back. You may have heard me talk about Truebill, but if you didn't, or if you need a refresher, let's go over it again. Listen, Truebill is the new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or simply forgot about. That's an awesome service. Think about it. How many things do you have sitting there on your credit card recurring that you're just like, I don't even use a Netflix. I don't even use a Spotify. I don't even use a giant, like whatever you're out there doing, you're just like, just throwing money down the toilet. A lot of companies, they get these free trials and they have them roll over. So you don't even know that you're like, oh, wait, I'm being charged for this? No, Giant Bomb is different than that. We try to over email people. Some people in the business department think that we're crazy for doing that. They're like, don't you know that this is how everybody does it? Well, we don't, but everybody does. Look at Matthew B. For example, in a matter of seconds, he saved $660 for the year on his DirecTV bill and $120 per year on his SiriusXM bill and $840 a year on car insurance. All thanks to Truebill. You just install the app, you hook it up, and they'll take care of canceling all of your unwanted subscriptions in one tap. And your Truebill concierge is there when you need them to cancel unwanted subscriptions so that you don't have to. It doesn't get more convenient than that. Because it's easy, right? It's easy. Trust me, I know. It's easy to just sit down and go, and let it wash over you and just let the money drain out of your bank account. I get it. We've all been there. Times are crazy, Take your life back one subscription at a time. Don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at truebill.com/bomb. Go right now, truebill.com/bomb. It could save you thousands a year. Truebill.com/bomb. Hunting down answers to your questions, it can be rewarding. But when it comes to hiring, you don't always have as much time as you'd like to spend finding great candidates with the right skills. And that's why there's Indeed, the best hiring partner your team can get. All right, look, if you're hiring, you need Indeed, because Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Indeed is the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applications that meet your must-have requirements, or else you don't pay. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find candidates with the right skills, you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. And Indeed partners with you on every step of the hiring process. You can find great talent through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. Indeed makes it easy to hire great talent, and according to ComScore, Indeed is the #1 job site worldwide, delivering 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined, according to Talent Nest. Talent Nest. Join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/bomb. The offer is valid through March 31st. Go to Indeed.com/bomb to claim your $75 credit before March 31st. Indeed.com/bomb. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire? You need Indeed. All right, we're back. Why don't we wrap things up with a handful of emails? Bottom bombcast@giantbomb.com is the email address. You can send your missives, your notes, your questions our way, and we'll pluck a few of them out and check them out. As we have this one from Shelby in Seattle. I was asked to bring a TV to a Super Bowl party so we could set up a second TV to watch the game. After loading the TV into my van, my lab jumped in the car. When we plugged the TV in, the screen was broken. What length have you guys got to in order to help? Because you're the techie one. But actually, the important question is, what TV should I pick up for a Series X? Is there any feature that is a must-have to future-proof my setup? What TV are we recommending these days? Man.
So it depends on if you're like, is this a personal use monitor type situation, or is this a family room TV? We
don't have that information,
right? So you want something that does like 122 hertz, right? Like 120.
I mean, 120. You like sure? I guess like the variable refresh rate and 120 hertz stuff of current TVs. That's why I just bought a new TV around Black Friday. And after some time with it and seeing how few games support that stuff in a meaningful way.
But there will be more. I guarantee you there will be more. And I think it is worth.
These games run at 30, dude.
Jesus.
There will be more, but not so many more.
There will be more, but enough to fucking. Will be
more. Plus, you can take advantage of it hooking your computer up to it.
Do they make 21:9 TVs yet?
Not yet.
Jesus Christ. Get the fuck out of here with
yet, unfortunately. Someday. No, so I like these LG OLEDs. My last two televisions have been those. This is a C1.
I got a CX. Very happy with it.
And I've been very happy with it, except when I moved cables around to capture some Horizon footage, it reset all of the configuration I had done to calibrate the TV.
Oh no!
To calibrate like the PS5 input and all this other stuff. Like everything, fucking went back to default.
That's crazy. I've never.
Yeah, and so it renamed because I renamed all my inputs to PC because you know for color space reasons and overscan and all the other stuff. Yep. And as soon as I plugged the PlayStation back into the port that I had been using for it before, it renamed the port back to PS5. It changed all the color. Everything went back to flat. And I'm just like, fuck, I don't want to go through the hassle of doing this again.
This shit is too fucking smart for its own good. Like it tries to do so much and then just fucks it up in the end.
And now my Mister is the text on it when you're running scripts is like a little bit off to the side. Like it's not there's overscan there. So I have to reconfigure that, even though that input has been named to PC, which is supposed to stop that from happening. So now I need to dick around on inputs for two settings. And that again, it's a specific case, but that for me was just like, I should stop. I should just hook everything up through my capture card, which means I won't get variable refresh rate or 120 hertz. But
maybe. Yep.
You're having this
stuff. We're going back to analog. We're going back to fucking SCART. And we're just going to be done. Give me component cables. RCAs. Fuck all y'all. Get your HDMI shit.
TV.
Your handshaking. Fucking out of here.
Let's get
BNCs.
4x3. Let's get real.
I mean, it sucks. There's a lot of fragmentation. There's a lot of compatibilities and whatnot. But I do think having that 120 hertz ceiling there is definitely a good thing for sure.
Yes. And more TVs are going to have that and stuff. So I'm only kind of like half kidding. But if you go look at the list of games currently on PS5 and Xbox Series X that support 120 hertz, and also it's another case of like
variable refresh rate as well. That needs to be included in the equation.
Yeah. When you go and look at the games that actually support that stuff, it's a small list, and there is a graphical knockdown. Similar when we just talked about Cyberpunk, it's like, hey, it's got ray tracing. If you get 30 frames, you turn it off for 60. Like you are sacrificing in other areas. Like these consoles are not powerful enough to do it all, and so you are back in the situation of having to make a choice. And I think that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I use it more for PC games than I do for console for sure.
Yeah. See, I'm more thinking that like when OLED PC monitors become affordable, when I can get an OLED monitor that is going to do like 360 hertz, some of these newer G-Sync monitors and stuff, that's That's what I want, because I want a PC monitor right fucking here. I'm thinking about getting another. I have an old 30-inch Dell over here turned vertically, and I'm thinking, what if I got another one for this side, and it was just I had this big H-shaped fucking monitor zone.
I feel
you can play Bridge Commander all by yourself there.
Exactly.
I have one that's flipped also, and I find it really good for like only a very specific set of things.
Yeah.
Like I can't, like I need 2 16:9s as well.
So I just have it flipped, and that's where Discord lives. That's where my local recording of this podcast lives. That's where like the Steam interface and Plex amp and like stuff that I'm like is there, but I don't necessarily need all the time. Like Slack or something would be over there if I kept Slack open on this machine. And then, you know, this is where I'm doing games. I think if I had another monitor, then it'd be like, okay, I can maybe, I actually don't know what I would do with a third vertical monitor other than.
That seems like too much, man.
When you have a vertical monitor, you can play Donkey Kong on it and it looks fucking crazy. I got this 30-inch fucking monitor and I can run Donkey Kong on it. And it's like, it's real fucking cool.
I get that.
That doesn't answer Shelby's question, but I think those LG OLEDs are quite good. And if you go a year back, they are more affordable while still having plenty of features. And so
I'm still rocking my goddamn plasma, my Panasonic from almost
how much
9 years ago now.
Damn, yeah.
And I don't turn it on. We mostly use it for TV. I don't play video games on it, so I feel like I still got a few good years in there. But I've been looking at some of the, and let's not get me down the path of talking about PC monitors, because I will talk about that Samsung G9 49-inch motherfucker that I really want. But different discussion. Sorry, I got off a tangent.
It's 49 inches, but is it 21.9? Is that why the number is weird?
32 by 9 or something crazy like that. Some of these big ones are crazy. They're crazy.
Is it curved?
Who is the market for these people?
Me.
Is it the bouncer
Rory?
like, what's the password?
It's like people in the fucking knock that are just like, okay, we need more shit. We need 3 of these stacked up so that I can see every single fucking network. When you know, it's for the people in the fucking Hackers reboot when they're watching, go like, oh, we got an intrusion.
Don't leave your webpage right now. But...
Okay, switch 27. Get up, go, and then they fucking rollerblade over there.
It is a 49-inch monitor with the screen space of 2 27-inch panels. You can truly take it's really curved. I kind of want one. I don't want to spend $1,500 on it.
The craziest thing is I know for a fact that Rory is looking at spreadsheets for a good portion of his day.
Seriously.
Like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you just like
more cells?
Do you have to like follow with your finger all the way? What's happening, dude?
Boy. And apparently these new ones come up with like software where you can run them as 2 discrete monitors in Windows. Like the physical monitor is one big thing, but you can actually have it separate.
That's kind of
dude.
If you had a monitor that wide emulating stuff like Darius and Ninja Warriors and stuff that was 2 monitors side by side, would be fucking they were horizontal games, but they were like 2 monitors put together with like a mirror to remove the bezel in the cabinet and stuff. And that'd look pretty fucking good, I bet. You should get into that. You should get into that.
I won't get into a
Did we answer the question?
Yeah.
No, we didn't pick out the LG OLEDs are what I always hear as being like top class stuff. They're still a little pricey for my
one. I have one. We're both super happy with ours. I think
TCLs. I mean, you know, like we got some TCLs for the office that were like acceptable televisions. But if you're looking specifically for like the Series X feature set, which Shelby appeared to be, like that's you're going to want to step up from that. And I don't know. That stuff is getting more affordable all the time from the looks of things.
It's weird to say, but it actually is like one of the best fucking purchases that I've made in the past like 5 years. Seriously,
I thought about that. I like that about my plasma too. Yeah, they're a good TV. When you take like 8 years off from upgrading to a new TV, it always feels like this refreshing thing, considering how much time we spend on them. But
I will say, going from a B6, a 2016 television, to this one was not a major upgrade.
Terry Bogard on this fucking screen.
There's kind of like once you go to the OLED, the next OLED just looks like another OLED.
I think I noticed. What did I go from? I think if I went from a C8 to a CX, or 10, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest notice was there was like a sizable, I think, improvement in input lag.
Really? I haven't noticed that at all. Like,
I think there was.
I see that.
Yeah.
Like I've got monitors that are pretty close together.
Sure.
And this one over here actually runs through a couple hops, and it's very similar to what I'm seeing over on this screen over here. So it's like it seems negligible.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely an improvement.
I don't want to play anything that's like 75-inch or anything like that, because that's certainly noticeable when I play downstairs. But when it's here on the 55, 60-inch, it's a lot better.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about those TVs.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
All right, here's a question from Brett. With the development issues for the past couple of years, it seems like the games we're getting are really just last-gen games running at higher resolutions. I don't see any games slated to come out this year that show significant improvements in terms of base gameplay or mechanics from those that came out on the base Xbox One or PS4. When do you think we can start expecting fundamentally new experiences that are significantly improved from games from the past 6 or 7 years?
When Hollywood stops redoing fucking movies.
Yeah, play indie games. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that question is really kind of asking
mean?
though.
Yeah.
It means that, like, like we talk about with Horizon, we talk about with Dying Light, it's like those are games that are not markedly different in their structure and format and storytelling style. Like, big games have been very similar for a good long time.
Sure.
We haven't necessarily seen huge leaps in AI and so, like the things that, when we think about new hardware and taxing it to the limit, it doesn't feel like we've seen that. Yeah, I mean that's what the question is.
It's like how much shit on screen will we like?
There's not a lot of incentive to improve, I guess. I mean, everything's selling perfectly fine just now. Why would
there's an incentive to improve Call of Duty.
I mean, like, why would you make like this most recent Horizon game mostly different from the original one that sold very, very, very well? You're probably just gonna make more of the same and be
safe,
like, well, that's what people want. If it's too different, people are gonna get mad about it, right?
I get it.
But I do agree with Jess. I think indie stuff is where you find the most truly refreshing stuff.
Yeah.
And I think
if you want to see some weird stuff, some totally new stories you don't expect, some strange gimmicks and stuff. I mean, that's one of the reasons why people were so wowed about Inscription, is because it's like, whoa, I've never seen this before. And it's like, yeah, it's because you're not paying attention to indie games. Like, they're dabbling in this sort of like meta narrative, fourth wall breaking stuff for a decade now, basically.
Yep.
Even other things by the same guy, but it finally kind of broke through to a more like wide audience, and it's like, whoa, this is crazy. It's like, it's been around, you just didn't know about it. So I don't know, my recommendation is like, check out indie games if you're not talking about just graphics, obviously.
Yeah, people have a tough time breaking out of their expectations for what that definition means, right?
Yeah.
Of like,
it's exactly. And I think where it feels like we're going with the big budget expensive games is that, like Sony just said it, they want to have 10 live service games. They want to have things that people play for years, people are willing to pay for in different smallish to medium-ish ways for years and years. That's the road they're headed down right now, is like, how can we make these stories, instead of like putting out a game every year, can we put out one game and then just update it for the next 7 years and
the Valhalla model?
Yeah, just keep people in this, make an ecosystem unto itself where people are just gonna, like, this is the thing that Minecraft did to games. This is the thing that Fortnite then kind of redid to games. That then, eventually just got turned more and more into this service model, this microtransaction model and stuff, because Minecraft didn't exactly go out of its way to charge extra money. I mean, they have a separate storefront and stuff now, but Minecraft led to the industry having to come to terms with like, what happens if people don't stop playing this video game? What do we do? What can we make? All these kids want to play as Minecraft.
Costs too much damn money to make. So it's like, they're not going to take really, really big risks with regards to storytelling or new gimmicks or anything like that if they're not super sure that that's not going to alienate a huge part of their demographic that they're trying to make money off of. So there's not a lot of, you're not going to see a lot of innovation in the AAA space because there's so much money on the line.
I think you will. It's just in different ways, right? It's not, it's a different type of innovation. It's figuring out like the networking involved to get these players together in a meaningful way. It's
innovating. How can we wrench every little penny out of it?
And of course, the business model. Definitely, there's
NFTs,
definitely,
baby. Like that sort of bullshit capitalist innovation.
Yeah. But yeah, it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. In the wake of that Sony announcement, I think I don't have a problem with games as a service because I think there are some that are very good and some that I have wanted to play for years and years and come back to when they have new stuff and leave and come back and that sort of stuff. I think that makes sense, but not if every game is like that, because then suddenly you've got this, it either makes it or it doesn't. And you know very early on if it's going to be a game as a service that lasts or if it's going to be the Avengers. And like if everyone and if everyone is going to go down that road, well, Battleborn was just a fucking bad idea across the board.
Trying to be
Battleborn didn't need to be a service to fail. It just fucking sucked.
There were mushroom guys and stuff.
The mushroom guy
could have been good. Oh.
The Majora's Mask of hero shooters.
There you go.
No.
There you go.
I'm coming for you one day. Coming for you.
But like, how many of these games can the industry even support with, I mean, we talk about like, oh, we want to have 1 billion players and all this other, like trying to get more people in to play games. But realistically, when you think about the dedicated player base and consoles, like how many of these games can this industry actually support at a given time? There's going to be haves and have-nots, and it's really
it's
dark.
Technically a finite source.
Yeah,
there's only so many people that own these consoles or own a PC capable of running this or that, and it's like you're trying to get all of these customers from a common pool of people that have those the access to the games. So there's no way to have an infinite growth model.
Yeah.
So yikes, eesh.
Yeah, it's like I thought the Division games were very good, but I'm not going to check in on those ever again. I don't know if they're even making new stuff for Division 2, but like it's like that's cool, but like that was not a game I needed to play forever. But for them to have it work, they probably need a somewhat larger number of people to go on playing it more and more frequently. And if everyone is making one of those, it gets really hard really fast, I think. And I think we're going to see more of that as time goes on. You're going to have more games. I mean, I'm sure the people that made the Avengers are very nice and they worked very hard, but like you just look at that, you're going to find like versions of that are even more dire.
Yeah.
Where like it goes even worse, even faster.
Ubisoft alone is making too many of these games. Like why are they launching Watch Dogs 2 and Valhalla and other stuff within like, I think Watch Dogs 2 and Valhalla launched
3. Legion was 3.
Watch Dogs
3, but yeah.
I think they even launched those 2. Like they want people to sign up for Uplay Plus, obviously, but like
sure.
With Watch Dogs Legion, they actually just put out an update like a couple of weeks ago saying like, hey, our next update is our last update.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I if all I wanted to do for a year was play Valhalla, there's enough to probably make it the only game I played for a year, but that's too much game. I want a little variety here and there, but here I am playing Dying Light 2 for 500.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's that's the stuff I like as more and more people kind of push into that space, like that's just gonna get weirder and weirder, I think. And you'll see innovation around that. You'll see people bringing like the games as a service model to games that you didn't think could support it and trying different things in that. And some will work and some will not. And yeah, I don't know, like that, the nature of like what happens to, well, I mean, it is, it's in different ways. It's, like, yes, it doesn't break the fourth wall, but like, that's not the game they're making, but
it's not one of the fun innovations.
Exactly. No, but like Destiny 2
innovation.
Destiny 2, or Destiny as a franchise was an incredible, crazy risk in a lot of ways, because they made Halo before that, and they went like, okay, well, what if we can make this in this long-term thing that people come back to and all this other stuff? I think it paid off for them mostly well. It's been a bumpy fucking ride for them. But like, they've been the ones that you look at and go like, oh, they seem to be doing it mostly right. And even there you can look at it and go, but players are fucking miserable and they hate this and they want this changed. Like even in the best of circumstances, people are just like, this game is fucked up. And then you go on to Warframe and just all the other games, and you get into the esports zone. Like you have all these games that are designed to be played for years and years and years and years and years. And how do you break through? Like if you're going for a big budget game, I think that's the real benefit indie has is you have these smaller games that you're in and out, and that's great sometimes. And that's where you can afford to have like, here's a truly different story that you don't see in a lot of video games because they can set out to make that at a much smaller scale because there's a little bit less risk. I mean, I'm sure there's personal risk for the people involved, right? They're like, hey, I spent my life savings making this game for 5 years and it sold 20,000 copies on Steam. I'm fucked.
There's no shareholders above them. Being
right.
Like,
but yes,
don't do this, don't do that,
Yes. At least they get to realize their vision for better or worse. I don't know. I don't have a conclusion to that because it's still so in flux and still so ongoing. But like when I think about like to the question of just like where does this stuff go from here, I think that the big budget game is at this huge crossroads right now where they are becoming too big to fail. And so you end up with safer decisions and stuff like that being made around those games when it comes to sequels and all that. But then you've also got if we are going to take a chance, it's going to be to try to turn this into a service game that we can make money off of for years. And that's a crapshoot of a totally different type.
Nope.
And we'll see how it plays out. Anyway, that's going to do it for emails.
Oh, man. God damn.
Yeah.
Fine. Fine.
One of these days, we'll just not do news and we'll catch up on some emails.
We should do like just voicemails.
What are voicemails? That's
crazy.
Fuck off, Backcaller.
Like
Jesus
just
Christ,
that.
that's some dumb shit.
Who
would ever do that?
That sounds like a good way to get people calling in with pornographic questions.
Dog pictures. Right.
We should do that, and we should do like a game show focusing on like retro video games.
Stop with your shit.
Like Starcade.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
like
like
Jeff
Nick
Edwards
Arcade.
involved.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
If anyone knows someone,
hit
us up.
No,
that's tomorrow, Wednesday of this week. The Arcade Pit will debut in its new form. It's re-debut on Giant Bomb.
Sure, however you want to put it, it's happening. We're starting it.
10 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. The Arcade Pit is happening live.
And how?
And how
exactly? Seriously,
Lucy and I are going to take on
giantbomb.com. That's how.
Lucy and I are taking on Jan and Jess. You guys should come up with a team name.
No, we're still pitching it around. Have you figured out a team name?
We have a couple candidates. We'll spring it on you at the last minute.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll all hear about that tomorrow, and then Thursday we got the dump truck. Come on back for that. You announced this JoJo's podcast. Does that have a debut date?
Yes. We are going to be putting up the first episode tomorrow.
Wait, you announced it and just like fucking recorded it?
We've already recorded 4 of them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I just couldn't stop watching this absolutely bananas show. So
that'll happen,
it's gonna be a lot of fun. But please do me a favor, do it for me. If you've never seen it, you got to watch it with us, because if you go into this, start listening to this thing, you're going to be like, whoa, what's happening? So
that would be a weird way.
Yeah, that'd be a weird way to ingest that thing.
Yeah. All right. And we'll be back, of course, next week with the Giant Bombcast. Come on back through. We'll see you then. Bye.